property, health law, and products liability. SandbergPhoenix.com. The choice of lawyers an important decision and should not be based solely on advertising.
The Chris and Amy Show on KMOX. Brought to you by St. Louis Union Station. Twists, turns, and tons of fun await to the new rides at St. Louis Union Station. Chris Ranji, Amy Marks Kors. The Chris and Amy Show.
Check it out. St. Louis, Mound City. We are going to have a great day today.
On 104.1 FM.
Let's take it from the top.
KMOX.
Good morning. It is Chris and Amy. We are glad that you've decided to hang out with us for a little bit today, with you until 12 o'clock. Then it is the Gas House Gang at 12. We'll talk some Cardinals baseball and more. Then Bernie Miklasz and me will be on that show for an hour from 12 until 1. The phone number is 314-436-7900. Feel free to visit with us today throughout the morning. Voice messages welcome also on the Odyssey app. You download that app to listen to the show live on your phone, and you can also drop us a voice message directly from that app. It's super simple to do. If you would like to watch the show today or any other day, you can on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. We are on Twitter at Chris Amy KMOX.
Time now for the top of the order. The top 3 stories everyone will be talking about.
Massive news from yesterday afternoon. Conservative activist, talk show host, and more. Charlie Kirk was shot and killed at a university in Utah. We're glad that we'll be speaking with Major Garrett today, the Chief Washington correspondent, because a lot of news to get to with him.
Yeah, just a deeply sad time in our country yesterday. And today, September 11th, marks 24 years since the terror attacks.
That's been a long time. And it just, I keep thinking about there's a generation of people that don't remember it. And that's wild to me, because at the time it just seemed like
kids have graduated from college that were not alive.
Also, the Cardinals, they lost to the Mariners last night. They get swept there in Seattle. Off today. They will play in Milwaukee. That series begins tomorrow. So we do start today with the killing of Charlie Kirk, when it appears that it happened by a sniper. It looks like, and we don't have all the details yet. We don't know who did it. That person is still on the loose. But it looks like it was done with some sort of rifle from a rooftop far away from where he was speaking at Utah Valley University in Provo, which is south of Salt Lake City by about a half hour or so. So this is, and I watched, way too much news yesterday, Amy. Looked at way too much Twitter yesterday, Blue Sky, just trying to get an idea of how people were taking this news, which is it's tragic. It's tragic for him and his family. It is tragic, I think, for the country, and that's where I'm there today. Yesterday and all last night, my thought was, this is really bad, and I am very nervous about what happens next. And I think for many of us, we've kind of been living in this state of nervousness about not knowing what country or what direction the country is going, and knowing that there are a lot of people who feel like I do. And, maybe it's not the majority of the country. And it's for various reasons. People on the left feel like it is going the wrong direction for one reason. People on the right feel like it's going the wrong direction for a different reason. But I think many of us feel like it is. And when stuff like this happens, when you have Minnesota legislators murdered, when you have attempts on a president's life or a presidential candidate's life, when all of these things happen, it feels like we are headed in such a bad direction. And my feeling yesterday and into last night was, I don't know how we come back from this. At least in my lifetime, I don't know how we come back from it. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to go to bed. I'll wake up tomorrow, feel a little bit better about it. Maybe I just didn't get enough sleep. But today I have the same feeling. I don't know how we come back from this, and I don't know how bad it gets. And I hope that I'm just nervous for nothing. I hope that I'm worried for nothing, that we're all going to be okay, that the rational people are going to hold the rest of us together. But I'm having a difficult time being there today.
Yeah, it is a deeply and profoundly sad time for our country on multiple levels. First and foremost, a husband and a father is dead. 31 years old. Charlie Kirk was 2 toddler-aged kids, 2 little kids that don't have a dad, a wife that doesn't have a husband anymore. And it has hit people very, very hard. And looking at the situation, there are a lot of reasons why. Charlie Kirk was, very outspoken on the right. He had his show, the Charlie Kirk Show. He had his social media presence. But for a lot of people, and I think what really gained a lot of momentum, especially in clips on social media, were the debates that he had. He had, the tent that said, "Change my mind." And whether or not you agreed with Charlie Kirk, what he was doing was exercising the First Amendment, and he was inviting people to debate, which is sorely lacking in our current political environment. A lot of people have podcasts. A lot of people have shows. A lot of people, politicians, grandstand on their respective cable networks that maybe support their point of view. But what Charlie Kirk did is he would go to universities, invite people to change his mind, make their statements. He would debate back and forth, some, generally pretty on both sides, pretty calm. I never really saw yelling, right? Maybe there were snarky
Sometimes
answers.
he got heated. There was a turning point event where he was on stage yelling at somebody in the crowd.
That would be like a turning point event, but I'm talking
You're
about,
talking about his
these
debates with
yes.
college students.
And that is so fundamental to United States democracy. This guy is not a politician. He's influential. He's not a politician. He's not making legislation. We may disagree with him, but he was out there making his arguments, and he was listening to other people argue back. And to have that person murdered in front of a bunch of kids because we don't know the suspect yet, but presumably wasn't a fan of his point of view, but presumably a political assassination here, that strikes at the very heart of America.
See, we don't know. And it's very important to note. We have no idea what the person who did this, what their motivation was, what their politics were. I think after the president, Trump, when he was a candidate last year, was shot in the ear, everybody just assumed right away, well, this is some sort of liberal lunatic. And we found out later that he wasn't. He was a guy who was a registered Republican and appeared to want to go after any politician that was in his proximity because he had a kill list and there were Democrats and Republicans on it alike. So that didn't seem to be a political ideology that drove that or him to do it. It kind of looked like, well, the president was close to him and he had an opportunity and he took it. So I think we have to still be very, very careful about assigning blame to anybody or to one political ideology. And I know that, it's already happened. And that is part of what scares me about this, is that what I wanted yesterday was people to say, all right, that's it. We all have to cool it.
Yeah,
all of
down.
us.
Yeah.
Right, left, everybody has to cool it. And here's the governor of Utah yesterday, within about an hour or two after the shooting, and he did it exactly the way I think it should have been done.
Our nation is broken. We've had political assassinations recently in Minnesota. We had an attempted assassination on the governor of Pennsylvania. And we had an attempted assassination on a presidential candidate and former president of the United States, and now current president of the United States. Nothing I say can unite us as a country. Nothing I can say right now can fix what is broken. Nothing I can say can bring back Charlie Kirk. Our hearts are broken. We mourn with his wife, his children, his family, his friends. We mourn as a nation. If anyone in the sound of my voice celebrated even a little bit at the news of this shooting, I would beg you to look in the mirror and to see if you can find a better angel in there somewhere. I don't care what his politics are. I care that he was an American. We desperately need our country. We desperately need leaders in our country. But more than the leaders, we just need every single person in this country to think about where we are and where we want to be. To ask ourselves, is this it? Is this what 250 years has wrought on us? I pray that that's not the case. I pray that those who hated what Charlie Kirk stood for will put down their social media and their pens and pray for his family, and that all of us will try to find a way to stop hating our fellow Americans.
And Spencer Cox, the Republican
Really
governor
well.
of Utah, it was probably, and that was off the cuff too. I think of all things that were said yesterday or tweeted out, and a lot of the stuff that's tweeted out is curated ahead of time. You know, they're really thinking about what they want to say before they say it. He was just speaking from the heart, and I thought that was about as good as it gets. And that's what I want. I wanted everybody to do that. I think the president yesterday, when he spoke, he sort of failed at that, and I think that's unfortunate, because he made it a left-wing violence, left-wing, when we know there's also right-wing violence too. There was an opportunity to say we need to cool it. I don't agree with much of anything that Charlie Kirk had to say, and I think some of his viewpoints were borderline vile. But this isn't it. This is not it. This is not how we do it. He can go to any college campus he wants, and he should be allowed to do that. Speak freely. If people shout at him, fine. If people want to shout him down, fine. But you don't get to gun him down. You don't get to do stuff like this. And I don't care what the motivation is for it. It can't happen. It doesn't matter if this person is left wing or right wing or just a crazy person who took an opportunity and thought they could, make a news story or has some other agenda that we don't even know about or not even conceiving of yet. This can't be the way we handle people we disagree with. And I disagreed with him in a very, very big way.
And like we said, we don't know anything about the suspect now. We don't know the reasons why. Obviously, your brain will think, okay, if he was outspoken politically, it might be politically motivated, and it very, very well could be. It could be a combination of political motivation and severe mental instability, right? Like there's some, we just don't know. But again, going back to the fact that with Charlie Kirk, he was not a politician. He was an influential figure. He was young, very popular with young right-leaning Americans. He would go to college campuses and debate. And honestly, it did bring a different side to a lot of college campuses, because we do know that a lot of the faculty, the teachers, data's pretty clear that they tend to, like all academic institutions, lean more left. So if Charlie Kirk came, he was very leaning right. And so you would get that collision of political viewpoints and ideology. But there was discussion. And that is what is so shocking, and why we recoil from this at a magnitude that is really quite striking, Ranj. Every living president still living, former president, spoke out about this, because there's this recognition that this is a very bad moment. This is a dark moment.
And I hope there's a way for us to pull back from it before it gets worse. And there is an opportunity. That's the thing, is that we can we don't have to keep going down this path. We can choose not to. I'm just afraid that there are too many influential people who are not going to tone it down, who are not going to turn down the temperature. I don't think it's going to happen. And that's what makes me nervous about what's to come here. Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji, we of course want to hear from you throughout the day at 314-436-7900. You can also leave us a voice message from the Odyssey app. It's Chris and Amy on KMOX.
At 5, when others are running out of steam, the Redbird Rush Hour hits the gas. Kevin Wheeler, Matt Pauley, and Bernie Miklasz bring sharp analysis, fresh insight, and no recycled takes. Real baseball talk for fans who know the game. Redbird Rush Hour, weekdays at 5 on 104.1 FM KMOX, the voice of St. Louis, the unrivaled voice of baseball.
Cardinal Cowboy here. After a coma, a miracle, and the fight of my life, I made it back to the games wearing my signature cowboy hat and jersey. Then came the baseball pants, the replica trophy, and the smiles and joy from the young fans. That's when the Cardinal Cowboy was born. Renner Garage Store knows how to bring joy too. With top brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster, and family service you can trust, get your free repair or replacement quote today. Forward and back. Giddy up!
R-E-N-N-E-R, R-E-N-N-E-R.
I'm Jenna Fisher.
And I'm Angela Kinsey.
And together we have the podcast Office Ladies.
Just because we finished rewatching The Office does not mean we're going anywhere.
Every Wednesday, we'll be sharing even more exclusive stories from The Office and our friendship with brand new guests. Plus, you can revisit all the Office Ladies rewatch episodes every Monday with new bonus tidbits before every episode.
So follow and listen to Office Ladies on the free Odyssey app and wherever you get your podcasts.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-207-4545. That's 800-207-4545. Once again, that's 800-207-4545.
Fairwinds River's Edge is more than a place to live. It's a place to belong. Come see why we have been voted Best Independent Senior Living Community for 4 years in a row by U.S. News & World Report. We think you'll like it here, and the experts agree. Come see us for yourself. Call to schedule a tour with lunch or to RSVP for our senior prom on September 24th with live entertainment by the Backstreet Cruisers. Find us online at fairwindsriversedge.com.
When we started Neovitin back in 2009, we wanted to create a multivitamin that we would take ourselves. That's why we use quality ingredients in our Neovitin Original Formula multivitamin. With over 20 vitamins and minerals, along with our physician-formulated proprietary blend, you can be sure you are getting the highest quality daily nutritional support. Give Neovitin Original Formula Multivitamin a try for yourself. Find it at your local Schnucks, Deerbergs, and online at neovitin.com.
Hey, it's Jeff at Sachs Financial. I got a free event coming up to maximize your Social Security, September 22nd and 23rd. Come meet me in person and find out how to maximize your Social Security. Sign up at retiresafestl.com/events.
It's the Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX, sponsored by the St. Louis Aquarium. Explore the St. Louis Aquarium at Union Station.
104.1 FM KMOX. It is the Chris and Amy Show. Thankful that you're spending time with us this morning until 12 o'clock. And of course, your thoughts are always welcome. If you want to text in, you can at 314-436-7900. We are talking about the murder that happened yesterday. Charlie Kirk just started speaking to a crowd in a Utah university. It was not the University of Utah. It was Utah Valley, which is in Provo. It's south of of Salt Lake City, just to give you an idea of where it was. I know I had mentioned that I did not agree with Charlie Kirk. A lot of people did not agree with Charlie Kirk and the things he had to say, the ideas he had. A couple of people have called in and said, what exactly about him is vile? What did he have? And I think the stuff about, seeing a black pilot and then saying, well, I'm not sure he's qualified when you get on a plane. If you see a pilot who's black, automatically wondering if they even belong there. I think that's a vile thing to say. That's just, I don't like it. He was free to say those things. He was free to say that the civil rights movement was a mistake, or that the Civil Rights Act was a mistake, which he did. And that's okay. It was his right to do that. I mean, the overall point is it's not about what he said that was or wasn't detestable to me. And some people probably agree with him. In fact, many people do, and that's okay. You're allowed to agree with ideas that I think are awful, but you don't get to kill a guy if you disagree with him. You just... That can't be us. And we don't even know what the motivation of the shooter was. We have to continue to reiterate that because it could be a number of things. We have no idea what this guy was thinking. But if it's because he disagreed with him and wanted to silence him because of that, we cannot be that kind of country.
No. And, there are people who are very, very online, and there are people who are not online. We talked about voters in 2020 and 2024, and there's a phrase called the uninformed voter. That doesn't mean uneducated. The uninformed voter is actually normal people. It's people who have a life, people who go to soccer practice and go to the grocery store and aren't glued to cable news and aren't glued to Twitter or TikTok, right? And I do think with certain political commentators, you could see several clips of Charlie Kirk and the debates that he had with people where I would say, oh, I agree with that. I could see several clips. Then you see, because it's a clip, right? It's a snapshot. Then you see other clips that you disagree with. Again, there are, especially on social media and especially on podcasts, it's easy to be sneering or contemptuous when talking about more sensitive topics. And we see this from all kinds of podcasters and politicos. And so those comments could be offensive to people. But I say all this because Charlie Kirk was a very popular influencer. And there probably were a lot of young people as well who saw, clips or debates that they agreed with. And I think they felt heard by a lot of what he said, especially young men. I think they felt heard. In a lot of clips, he does stand up for more traditional values. And I think that's important to people. And so there are probably a lot of people who, my goodness, I could be one of them where, I see a clip, I think, oh, that's actually good. I agree with that. Then you may see something else. And that's the thing. You're not going to agree with someone 100% of the time. Some comments you're going to disagree with or like or whatever. But I say that because there are a lot of people who liked what he said and supported what he said, even if they didn't support all of what he said. And to Ranja's point, to see him gunned down was so shocking in front of all those kids, all those students at the university, and doing what is pretty darn American, which is having a debate and a conversation with people you disagree with, because that's what he does. He invites them to have that debate.
Right.
And that strikes at the heart of the United States.
Again, I think some of his viewpoints were pretty awful. I mean, saying black women lacked brain processing power. That's a crazy thing to say, but he was allowed to say them. Nazis are allowed to gather with their SS uniforms if they have them. They're allowed to do that if they want to. That's the United States. That's the country that we have, and we've decided we should have that. Even if you think the viewpoint, calling him that. No, I'm saying saying that groups of people, no matter how detestable you think they are or their opinions are allowed to gather and express them. And they should be allowed to do that without the threat of violence. Doesn't mean you can't shout at them or disagree with them or counter protest against them, those things are allowed. But killing somebody because you disagree with them or because they're on the other side politically, absolutely not. That's not the country that we can have here. We have all agreed a long time ago, before we were even born, we as a country decided we were not going to be that dissent was not going to be a punishable by death offense. And that's what makes me nervous now, is I do think there are going to be people who take it upon themselves to have vengeance for Charlie Kirk. And again, we don't know why this happened, who did it, why they did it. And we need to be very, very careful about what we do going forward. It's Chris and Amy on KMOX. Again, your viewpoints. We want to hear from you today at 314-436-7900. It's 104.1 FM KMOX.
Hi, Debbie Monterey here with Gloria Liu, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. We've worked together for more than 5 years, and I've learned a lot about you and your business. Today, I actually found out a few things I didn't know, like your home sales stats. Compared to the average agent who sells less than 4 to 6 homes a year, you actually sell a home just about every other day. And even more impressive, your business has been built on giving back to our local community, including supporting St. Louis Children's Hospital.
Thank you. Every business should have a Go Serve Big initiative. When someone makes a referral, they're helping our communities, including St. Louis Children's Hospital, which is very special to me and my family because they helped me when I had my son many years ago. Today, sellers want to sell with certainty in this uncertain market. My upfront written guarantees are my secret to selling your home fast and for top dollar.
Friends, the secret is out. Call Gloria now at 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Well, it's hot. I was going to say the weather is changing, but it's pretty warm right now before the temperatures drop, which actually might be the perfect time to visit Rottler.com. Why? Well, because with Rottler, you are going to protect your home from mice and rodents that try to make their way indoors as temperature drops, because the mice don't want to be cold in the winter. Once they get through any crack or crevice in your home, they're going to make themselves a little home. They're going to multiply rapidly. That's what those creatures do. And the next thing you know, you've got mouse droppings in the utensil drawer, which has happened, and it's embarrassing and gross. So visit Rottler.com. Rottler.com, they're the largest family-owned pest control company in the state of Missouri. What I love about them is if you call them or visit their website, someone answers the phone. Also, they can be at your house that day or the next day, and any work they do, they back up with the Rottler promise. They are great. I can speak from experience. Rottler.com.
I'm Ultima Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Every time one of my children started driving, it was terrifying. Thousands of accidents happen across the country. We see it every day. If you've been injured in a car accident, call us.
Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
You've got a ton of equity in your home. You're sitting on a gold mine, and you could do so much with all that cash, like travel, invest it, or pay off debt, but you can't touch it unless you sell your home. But you really don't want to move. And besides, homes are sitting on the market for a long time these days. You're trapped, right? Well, not with TrueHold. With TrueHold, you can cash out your equity in as little as 30 days. And listen, you don't have to move. You can stay in the home you love as a renter. So that's TrueHold's Sell and Stay program. You cash out your entire home's value and stay put. TrueHold even covers property taxes, property insurance, and essential repairs. So imagine using that equity to travel, invest, or pay off debt and stay in your home. It's brilliant, especially in this slow market. You get an all-cash offer now by calling 1-855-300-9993. You can also visit TrueHold.com, the smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without moving. That's TrueHold.com.
Currently it is 74 degrees, sunshine and hot today, a high of 92. Tonight, partly cloudy and a low of 60.
Brought to you by Duke's Mayonnaise.
This is the Duke's Country Song. It's a song about the best mayo. It has a yellow lid, and its full name is Duke's Mayonnaise. Get Duke's Mayo in store. It's got twang.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
No pain, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Cards manager Ollie Marble joins the Gas House Gang every Tuesday at noon. Sponsored by Siteman Cancer Center on the voice of the Cardinals. 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Chris and Amy on KMOX. It is 104.1 FM. Your thoughts, we are taking them at 314-436-7900. Go ahead and if you want to drop us voice messages, they're very, very easy to use that system. And we hope that you will do that. So with us now is, and we're going to New York City because there's a lot going on today. Of course, we're trying to figure out, or authorities are trying to figure out who committed the murder yesterday of Charlie Kirk, the conservative influencer. And that investigation is ongoing. Meanwhile, the 9/11 memorial happened this morning. It's been 24 years since September 11th happened. We are joined now by Michael Wallace with CBS News, who's with us on KMOX. We appreciate your time, Michael. How are you?
Doing fine, guys. How are you?
We're doing okay. Considering everything that is going on. I know that you are in New York at the moment, and the memorial just happened not that long ago.
Yep, just wrapped up the moment of silence for when the second tower fell. That's the last of the series of moments of silence throughout the morning. It's been 24 years, but for most of us here, it still feels like yesterday, especially those of us like myself who were there at Ground Zero that day. It's, those images are just seared in your memory and don't go away.
Yeah, Michael, they are seared because it was so surreal as it was happening. Us, I'm watching it on television. It doesn't feel real. It feels like time stopped. Can you walk us through your experience that day?
Sure. I was working with Wall Street Journal Radio in the World Financial Center, which was right across the street from the Trade Center. After the second plane hit, we all realized it was an attack, and so we all evacuated our building and ended up about a block away down the street, where we watched the fire response. We unfortunately watched all those poor souls jump from the buildings, never thinking, of course, that the buildings were going to come down until, of course, the first one did. And then we ran for our lives further down into, lower Manhattan to get away from it all. But we were all caught up in that dust cloud.
So the last time I was in New York was about 9 years, I guess, 8-9 years after that happened, and the construction was going on at the site of the World Trade Center, and just from watching on television, clearly it is a much different place now because it has been 15 or so years since my visit there. When you go to that spot, I mean, what does it feel like when you were there, knowing what used to be there and knowing everything that did happen there?
Chris, I have to be completely honest with you. I've never gone. I can't do it.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't do it. Maybe someday I will. I hope to, but I've just never, people have asked, you want to come with me or do you have any interest? And I don't think I'm there yet. I don't know if I ever will be, but, certainly from people who I know well, who have gone, it is a very moving experience. You can literally spend all day there looking at all the exhibits in the museum or, the reflecting pools above ground that are so poignant. But for me personally, that's something that I have not done yet.
You know, it's Michael, it has been a very heavy 24 hours. And looking at moments in this country that were watersheds and how they affected the country, the trajectory of the country, you look at things like the Kennedy assassination. You look at 9/11 and not comparing. I don't compare tragedies, but just when you look at the political environment, you look at things that were politicized, that weren't politicized. How have you seen our country's response to tragedy change over the past 2 decades?
Yeah, well, I think it changed a lot after 9/11. I mean, just certainly by the fact that so much had to change, right? Airport security, building security. I mean, in New York City, you can't enter practically any office building without being stopped by security or at least some plexiglass gates and have to show IDs and all that. So that's all changed. And then just in general, there's just this sense of dread or malaise, especially after the Charlie Kirk shooting yesterday and the Colorado school shooting and all the recent shootings. Just kind of it's almost like a what's going to happen next kind of feeling. I know a couple of people in the newsroom who are a little older than I have likened kind of like that 1968 feeling, you know, with RFK, Martin Luther King, like what's next? And I think that's kind of the stage where a lot of Americans' headspaces are at right now. Is we're not on a good path here.
Michael Wallace, I wish you hadn't said that because it's the way I've been feeling all day and last night. And I was hoping you would tell me the opposite. So I know that you've got other places you need to check in with, and we appreciate you taking time today to speak with us. And we hope to do it again soon.
Sure, guys. Anytime. Thanks.
Michael Wallace, CBS News, with us on KMOX.
You know, him bringing up 1968 is very poignant because I was also thinking of the 1970s, which was peak domestic terrorism in the U.S. You know, obviously I wasn't born yet, so it was something that I learned about but didn't live through when there were hundreds of attacks, a lot of bombings by radical groups like the Weather Underground, and that must have been such a scary time, an overwhelming time. And so I would like to think that as a country, I hope that the tragedy of yesterday, the remembrance of the tragedy of 9/11 will calm us down, slow us down a bit, and realize this is not a sustainable trajectory to live in a superheated political environment where violence is so frequent that you can't keep up with it. And I say that because Michael brought up the Colorado shooting, which I heard on the periphery yesterday that there was a shooting at a high school in Evergreen, Colorado. And, but I had just heard a shooting in Colorado, but of course we were consumed with other news. And then this morning, my phone I started getting notifications that the Evergreen Park is closed and this Evergreen roadway is closed because I'm going to Evergreen on Saturday. I'll be in Evergreen, Colorado. My good friend lives there. And I started Googling Evergreen, Colorado. Evergreen High School is where the shooting happened. 2 kids were shot. And we don't know why. It was a suspect with, I believe they said, a revolver brought into the school. The first thing I did this morning, after thinking, I came in early to prep for just kind of get my thoughts together with everything that happened, the tragedy with Charlie Kirk. And all of a sudden, I'm texting and calling my friend to see if his son is okay, you know, if their family is okay, if their friends are okay. And it was a bit of an overwhelming morning, and to think that shooting at that high school, which should be a very, very big deal, kind of got buried yesterday.
We barely talked about it.
Yeah.
I think it got less than 1% of the coverage yesterday, just watching all day and into the night.
And that's a small community, Ranj. It's a tight-knit community. And like I said, to be on a phone and talking to your friend to make sure their family's okay is very surreal. And It's a heavy time.
And the thing about the school shooting is, I don't know that that Charlie Kirk's murder yesterday, I'm not sure that if that hadn't happened, we still wouldn't have been talking about the Colorado school shooting. I mean, it would have been on the news, but people would have just forgotten about it because we've become so used to it.
Mm-hmm.
We're so used to school shootings now. When I was in high school, never once thought about it. Never once even considered the possibility of a shooting happening in the school or somebody coming in armed, like they were going to do a bunch of damage as much as possible in tactical gear.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a student shooting up the school or, a kid who used to go there, whatever it is, we didn't think about that kind of stuff. And 30 years later, it is so normal that when it does happen, it's like, oh, another school shooting. That's really sad. What else is going on today? It's crazy that this is where we are.
And I want to be clear with the Evergreen. It does seem a bit different than some of the other school shootings we've seen where there's a manifesto and all of that. This was a revolver. They're looking in to see if the kids knew each other. They don't know anything yet. It's still just, a tragic situation. But to your point, Ranj, about it happening, the shooting at the Catholic school recently, and all those little kids in mass, literally, praying, all sitting there together, and when they were slaughtered, that hits so close to home. I mean, we're St. Louis. We're the home of so many Catholic schools and so many Catholic grade schools. And I don't know that there's a single person that in St. Louis that either didn't go at some point to a Catholic mass or a Catholic school or have good friends. So it was very visceral and very real for us. I know local Catholic schools still have police officers.
Sure.
Surrounding their grade schools. And parents are telling their kids, well, the police officers are there to help everyone feel safe.
And you know what? There are resource officers everywhere. And still stuff like this happens. They have armed police on pretty much every school campus, do they not? I mean, I'm sure there are some that don't, but it's a very common thing to have an armed officer on the campus of the school. And that was, again, not a thing when I was a kid. Not a thing.
And I know we're kind of jumping all over the place here, going back to what happened with Charlie Kirk. And when you have very, very heated political environment, I feel like we talk in existential and absolute phrases all the time. I mean, everybody. I mean, it's just so easy to throw out these words, and when you do that, we start to look at the quote other side as an enemy. I see the word enemy being used. But from a 30,000-foot view, the United States of America is a pretty amazing country where we have so many freedoms and rights that it's easy to take for granted. And we are a country built on disagreement. We're a country built on debate. I mean, I know it looked like when you look at the colonies and the founders, you think, oh, it was a bunch of white guys, but it really wasn't. It was groups of people who had been betrayed and persecuted by their governments, and they themselves had beliefs and ideologies that differed so much that it tore Europe apart with wars. These guys disagreed with each other deeply and profoundly on different levels, and so they had to build a structure that protected, safeguarded, and encouraged and relied on debate and disagreement. And so somehow I feel like we've lost the plot. We are all Americans.
That's Amy Markscores. I'm Chris Ranji. Again, you know how to visit with us at 314-436-7900. Feel free to send in a text message. We have Major Garrett coming up at 10:30. We will talk to him. Joan Lippman is a journalist, a lecturer at Yale, Joanne Lippman, and a former managing editor of the Wall Street Journal. During 9/11, she was in the World Trade Center when the first plane hit 24 years ago today. We're going to talk to her at 11 o'clock. Tom Winter, who's covering this for NBC News, the the murder of Charlie Kirk. We'll talk to him at 11:30. And also, there's a mystery indictment coming today in St. Louis. Apparently, we don't know anything about it, but it's a local politician or a former local politician.
I forgot about the mystery.
Me too.
Yeah.
Sean Malone at 11:45, right at the end of the show today. Gas House Gang at 12 o'clock. It's Chris and Amy on KMOX.
You all remember me mentioning my wife's thermostat being broke because of the, the change of women evidently have to go through, which is horrible. People called me asking me, how did she feel about me sharing her insanity? I did notice seeing her looking through a fork at me. So, hey, guys, if your wife, your girlfriend, your better half is looking through a fork at you, look it up. Why? You're going to be shocked. But she's still happy that she's got air conditioning. So you need help. You need pricing. Somebody told you need new equipment. Remember, Bart Inman, one easy number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600. But guys, look up wives looking through forks at husband. You better change your program around. God bless.
The KMOX City SC Soccer Showcase, presented by Michelob Ultra, is back. Next stop, Hot Shot Sports Bar and Grill in Arnold, Thursday, September 18th. A limited number of fans can get an autographed picture from City SC player Timo Baumgartl. Win great prizes, enjoy great food, and a cold drink.
Hi, this is Timo Baumgartl of St. Louis City. I'm looking forward to meeting you at the Hot Shots in Arnold, September 18th for the next soccer showcase. See you soon.
For more info, KMOX.com/events.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is coming soon to the Show Me State. New Missouri customers can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. And when we go live, place just a $5 bet to unlock $300 in bonus bets. Starting November 17th, you can create your DraftKings Sportsbook account in Missouri and get ready for launch day on December 1st. DraftKings Sportsbook brings you everything you need to elevate your game day, including live in-game betting, lightning-fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when we go live December 1st. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
It's easy to feel apprehensive about getting screened for cancer or to just keep putting it off. But Siteman Cancer Center wants to remind you how important it is, especially after the age of 40. And they also want you to know how easy it is to get it done. GetScreenedNow.com has all the information you need on cancers like prostate, breast, colon, lung cancer. You can also find out your risk of disease by answering just a few simple questions. And then you can find one of the hundreds of screening locations in the area. Even if you're a little farther out, there is probably a place near you. You have heard this before, but catching cancer early dramatically increases the odds of a successful treatment, especially with so many cancers showing up earlier in life. So do not be intimidated. Siteman will make the process as simple as possible. GetScreenedNow.com. Do it for your family and friends who count on you. Do it for yourself. Visit GetScreenedNow.com.
The Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Chris Ranji, Amy Mark Scores with you on a day that is a very heavy day, Ranj, with the assassination, murder of Charlie Kirk. We are remembering those lives that were lost on 9/11. We thinking about the kids, 2 kids who were injured in a shooting in Evergreen, Colorado yesterday. But I know this will be a bigger conversation as well, Ranj, something that I think we continue to talk about, but how social media has changed the way the public consumes these events. I did not want to see some of the videos that I saw yesterday, specifically a close-up video of the shooting of Charlie Kirk. And these videos are reposted and then reposted again. And a lot of times our social media is set on autoplay. If you are concerned with that, you can disable autoplay so these videos don't play. But between that and the video of the awful stabbing attack of Irina Zarutska on the South Carolina metro train,
right,
that video keeps popping up. And how do we handle that with social media? If you are a family member of somebody, if you're Charlie Kirk's family, if you're Irina Zarutska's family, you would have to delete your social media.
So I guess you would. I go back and forth on this because when it's just an innocent, when it's I don't want to say innocent, but when it is to imply that Charlie Kirk was not innocent because he did not do anything to deserve being murdered. But when we're talking about a person who's not a public figure, like the woman you're talking about in South Carolina, absolutely not. I waver on. We've seen the JFK assassination a million times. We've seen the Zapruder film a million times, and that's been out there for 50 years. We've known about the film for a very, very long time.
But it wasn't popping up in your pocket.
It wasn't in your pocket.
It wasn't in your hand, in your pocket when you're just checking your email or making a phone call.
Part of me feels like when it happens, and maybe I'm wrong on this, and I am more than willing to concede I'm wrong on this. When it happens to a public figure, I think we should almost have to see it so that we don't do it again. So that we see how, because it's just, for a lot of us, if he were murdered and we didn't see it, it's just an idea. It's almost like it's almost like you don't see how visceral and awful it is to do that to another human being. But when you do see it, maybe it makes you think twice about doing that to another human being. You know what I mean? Maybe it.
What about the desensitizing factor of it?
I don't know if it has that effect. Maybe it does. But when I see the video, I think, oh my God, the one you're talking about, the close-up, I didn't see it for myself. Somebody sent it to me. And I thought, oh my God, that can't be real. That has to be AI, because it looked way too graphic. It almost looked like a movie.
Yeah.
And so I thought, nope, that can't be it. That can't be. And then turns out it was, because other more reputable sources started to pick up on it. And then I trusted it. So I wish I had not seen it.
Yeah.
But I think that it can serve a good purpose to see something like that, because then you can see for yourself how awful shooting another human being is. Right?
Yeah.
And maybe it doesn't have that effect. Maybe it desensitizes us. I feel like for a lot of people, it does not.
It might be both. I think it does shock older people. What we are seeing with millennials and Gen Z, because so much is out there and so much is on TikTok. There was a psychologist who wrote a piece that said this is the first generation of kids that can't be shocked. And that's what I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose our ability to be shocked. We should be shocked and we should recoil.
It's Chris and Amy on KMOX. We're going to do a little palate cleanser here. When we come back, we will talk to Matt Shears. And Matt is covering this Google lawsuit, and it has to do with data and privacy, your data that is out there, and privacy, and just Google on different applications and what it means for them, what it means for you. Matt Shears, the president and CEO of the Computer and Communications Industry Association, joins us next on KMOX.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at endurancewarranty.com. Auto repair bills are through the roof. $3,000 to replace the transmission. $4,000 for a blown engine. And if your manufacturer's warranty is expired, you'll have to cover it all out of pocket. You need an Endurance Auto Protection Plan. No matter what the mileage, if your car is under 20 years old, Endurance can get you covered on the engine, electrical system, transmission, AC, drivetrain, and more. Endurance has plans for any budget. Repairs can be done at the certified mechanic of your choice, and they're paid directly with no middleman. Plans cover 24/7 roadside assistance, towing, battery jumps, fuel deliveries, tire changes, lockout services, and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Act now and get our elite benefits, including complete tire care and key fob replacement. A $2,000 value at no extra cost. With Endurance, you could never pay for covered auto repairs again, so call now for your free quote. Call 800-380-9012. 800-380-9012. Again, that's 800-380-9012.
At Tax Relief Advocates, we get it. Thinking about back taxes to the IRS can be very unsettling. Don't lose hope. With thousands of 5-star Google reviews and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, TRA is resolving taxpayers' delinquent tax problems nationwide once and for all. We could significantly reduce and even eliminate what you owe the IRS. If you haven't filed your taxes in years or are already facing collections, we can help. We aren't just some run-of-the-mill tax service company. We specialize in helping individuals and businesses with $10,000, $50,000, or even $500,000 in back taxes get speedy resolution. And in many cases, only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. The IRS isn't going anywhere, and neither is your tax problem. To see what tax relief you qualify for, visit TRA.com or call 800-335-8578. 800-335-8578. Again, that's 800-335-8578. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Winner of the National Edward R. Murrow Award for Breaking News. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Frank, did you get the mail?
Coupon, Medicare, AARP. Oh, wait. This one says open immediately.
First one in the trash.
Every day, we're bombarded with messages that we don't care about. Problem is, there might be an important message in there that affects you, like retirement. For example, on September 23rd and 25th, Steve All of the All Financial Group will be hosting a Taxes in Retirement seminar at Stone Summit. From the big, beautiful bill to taxes on your Social Security, Steve will cover it. It's a complimentary event, but seating is limited, so reserve your seat today. Call 636-230-8824 or online at yourmoneymattersstl.com.
What about this coupon for a new lawn service?
We live in a condo.
So?
On the 3rd floor. Mom always said I shouldn't have married you.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Neither the firm nor its agents or representatives may give tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult a qualified professional or guidance before making any purchasing decisions.
It is 10:01, and right now we've got sunshine and 77 degrees in downtown St. Louis. And the continuing investigation into the shooting death of Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk. Utah Public Safety Commissioner Bo Mason said investigators have been able to track the shooter's movements as he came on campus and left.
We do have good video footage of this individual. We are not going to release that at this time.
The FBI believes they've recovered the weapon used. CBS's Andres Gutierrez in Orem, Utah has more.
Besides that murder weapon being analyzed, the FBI right now also working to analyze some footwear impressions as well as some forearm impressions they got of the suspect. So they have been working throughout the night in gathering this evidence, and those are some new pieces of information that we've received.
Americans are marking 24 years since the September 11th attacks, a large gathering at the World Trade Center in New York, where the names of nearly 3,000 victims were read aloud. The 40 victims of Flight 93 have been remembered at the site where the plane crashed outside the small hamlet of Shanksville in southwestern Pennsylvania. Stephen Clark is superintendent of the Flight 93 National Memorial.
We must always remember what happened 24 years ago today, when an attack on our nation brought forth an inspiring show of courage from the passengers and crew members aboard Flight 93.
Coming up next hour, the city of Belleville hosting their 9/11 remembrance ceremony at 11:30 at the memorial next to the firehouse near highways 159 and 15. Organizer Sharon Strasbaugh says the memorial features a beam from one of the towers that fell and a tree with ties to Ground Zero.
We were able to get a seedling quite a few years back from the only
surviving, only living thing that was found at the World Trade Center, and that was a calorie pear tree that was severely charred, severely burnt, major damage to the tree. But the Parks and Recreation Service from New York took the tree up to a nursery in an area, nursed it back to health.
From the business desk sponsored by Krentz Financial Group, KFGadvisors.com, a credit union with a growing presence in St. Louis has announced a sponsorship and lease agreement with the University of Missouri St. Louis. Community American Credit Union will pay UMSL $500,000. They'll open a branch on campus, but also sponsor and develop financial education initiatives, working with the UMSL Center for Excellence in Financial Counseling, according to the Business Journal. The weather sponsored by SNL Coins.
Sunny and becoming rather hot this afternoon with a high of 91. Tonight will be clear, though 67. Mostly sunny and a bit hotter tomorrow, high 94. Saturday, more sun than clouds, a high of 97. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It is 77 degrees right now. I'm Debbie Monterey, KMOX News.
SNL Coin. We buy gold and silver coins, silver and gold jewelry. Also buying gold-filled and silver plates. Before you sell, call SNL. 314-544-3600. 314-544-3600. SNL Coin.
The Chris and Amy Show on KMOX. Brought to you by St. Louis Union Station. Step into the next chapter of family fun at St. Louis Union Station, where new rides bring fresh excitement to a timeless destination.
It's the Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX. We've been covering all morning the killing of Charlie Kirk, and we will continue to do that throughout the morning today. But right now, we're going to take a break from that, and we visit with the president and CEO of the Computer and Communications Industry Association. Matt Shears joins us because a federal judge, it's a pretty big case, and as it pertains to Google and tech policy, as it pertains to your privacy and all the data that has been shared and can be shared amongst companies, we talked with Matt about that today. Matt, we appreciate your time. How are you?
Doing fine. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I know that one thing that Americans in particular are always concerned about is their data. What is out there? Who has it? Whenever they use Google, whenever they use any sort of platform, people don't want that stuff shared unless they give permission for that stuff to be shared. So what exactly does this ruling mean for them and for Google?
That's right. Yeah, so this is an important decision because it does involve how Google, which is a prominent digital service and many Americans love and utilize its products, it was the subject of a long-running Department of Justice case arguing that the company had abused a dominant position in internet search. And as a result of that case, there was a remedies ruling. That is to say, the judge ruled that Google had to undertake certain conduct to remedy past misconduct associated with contracts that it signed. Now, the Department of Justice had asked for sweeping remedies, breaking the company up, spinning off the Chrome browser, the Android operating system. And the court said, we're not doing that. That's not appropriate because of how rapidly the digital market is evolving. But what it did require is that Google will have to share certain search data and related advertisement data with competitors to re-level the playing field. Essentially, that's what the order is trying to achieve. Now, the court acknowledges that in sharing data, there is a potential risk to consumers, and so it says, well, data has to be anonymized. But of course, there are concerns about could anonymized data be de-anonymized, and so I think we're going to see a lot of tussling on appeal about what exactly Google will be required to do to ensure that consumers' data remains private.
Yeah, it's kind of a two-part ruling here because Google was facing, charges that it's a monopoly. And so the judge ruled that Google can no longer sign exclusive default search deals. For instance, Google would pay $20 million a year to Apple to be the default placement a search engine. And so the judge ruled, okay, Google, you don't have to sell Chrome. We don't have to break you apart as a monopoly, but you basically, as you just said, you have to level the playing field by sharing some data and not signing exclusive deals. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. And these mandates about agreements about where the Google search product gets placed in other digital ecosystems is probably the more important part from the business landscape perspective, because, of course, there were major deals signed where Google would pay to have Google search be a default option in other operating systems or in other browsers. And so now Google's ability to sign contracts like that is limited by this agreement going forward. How much of that consumers are actually going to be affected, it's hard to say, because of course, most consumers, even when given the option to choose a search engine, would go and change it back to Google if Google was not the default, right? So there's a lot of evidence in the marketplace that consumers were using the Google search engine because they found it to be the most valuable one. But that is a key component of the ruling against Google.
Just for the sidebar here, why is it that Google has become so dominant? Because I remember it was in my memory, it was Yahoo that was first. That was the one that we always used. And then suddenly Google just took over. Bing doesn't seem like it can gain any traction. I don't hear anybody ever talk about using Bing. So why is Google so pervasive, and why is it so difficult for these others to break in?
Well, it's interesting because the court expressly says that Google managed to keep its leadership position in the marketplace for such a long time by doing lots of lawful things, investing aggressively in investment, fine-tuning the product to make sure that it gave more, the most responsive results to consumers. And so while these contracts were ruled to be inappropriate, a lot of what Google was doing to stay ahead is what we want companies to do, which is spend a lot on R&D, invest on improving the product. So the court wasn't holding that against Google, but it was holding these contracts against Google. But the most interesting thing about that is, after having so many years of a leadership position in the marketplace, during the course of this case, as we've all seen, Google has been disrupted by all these new entrants that are in essentially the same market, right? The market for answers, but they're not search engines. They are these AI-powered chatbots or agents in apps and websites like OpenAI's ChatGPT. And increasingly, consumers are going there to get their questions answered, not going to a basic search engine. And so the court recognized that over the course of the case and said, this is changing the direction of the case, and we need to approach this with a measure of humility, because it's hard to predict the direction of the digital marketplace.
Amy and I were just talking about this in the office before the show today, that it feels like if you use Gemini, for example, that the results are different every time, or they are completely unreliable. And there are numbers that we have seen that say sometimes 30 to 40% of the searches, the results that you get are not necessarily accurate when you're using, artificial intelligence. So when will we be able to trust those results better?
Look, I think that's a great question. And there's a lot of different companies are offering different products in the marketplace. Gemini is one, of course. I mentioned OpenAI. There's a variety of others that are also competing for users' interest and attention. Some of them with different business models too. A lot of them are not ad supported, but they're subscription based. And I think what we're going to see is consumers will gravitate towards those that get them the most reliable, trustworthy answers, as has always been the case in the digital environment. And it's quite possible that going forward that won't be a Google product, that it could be a competitor. And that's the free market at work, consumers voting with their mouse to choose what products best meet their needs.
When we're speaking of choosing products that best meet needs, after this ruling, if I understand, when you get a new device, the default search engine, for instance, let's say Safari, the Safari app on my phone, the default search engine won't be Google. I'll be asked to manually choose which search engine I want.
Well, so to be clear, the court did not do what we sometimes call a ballot screen, where mandate that consumers be presented with a choice of pick what you want. Right? Europe has tried this recently in some antitrust cases, and many years ago, this was required of Microsoft in the Microsoft antitrust case about browsers, 2 decades ago. And the data tells us that those aren't particularly effective. We know that it doesn't actually change consumers' behavior that much. But what Google won't be able to do is ensure that it is the exclusive choice. And I think different services are going to likely make the default different search products. And we could imagine that some of those AI products that we were talking about might be the default instead. So we're likely to see a lot of competition there, and consumers are maybe going to have the option to try some new services. What we've seen in the past is sometimes they gravitated back to the Google search engine because it got them results they felt like they could trust. Maybe going forward, they'll be using something different like, ChatGPT or Anthropic's Claude or some other service.
Matt, just to end this conversation, we started talking about data and people being concerned about what is out there. And one of the main concerns is identity theft, of course, that if they, have put their social security number or anything else that can be stolen and then used for opening an account, a credit card account, or something of that nature. What other sorts of things should people be worried about when it comes to their data being available and then maybe spread or stolen or something like that?
Right. So, yeah, it's in our increasingly digital world, that is a constant risk. And I think the most important thing that users can do, for one, is, don't interact with sites that might be unreliable. Exercise some judgment before clicking on links and opening messages from people who you don't know. But also just basic stuff like don't recycle your password. And I know a lot of people, it's hard to remember the passwords. There are password manager applications out there. Some of them are built into your browser. There's apps that you can download. And some of the basic things like that, just what we call, common security hygiene, users will go a long way in making sure that, that they're not the victim of bad guys. You don't have to be, using like nation state level cybersecurity to just make yourself safer with some basic practices like not recycling passwords.
Matt Shears, President and CEO of the Computer and Communications Industry Association. We appreciate the information and your time today. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
It's the Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX.
This is Debbie Monterey, and if you or a loved one needs some extra assistance to age comfortably and safely at home, look no further than Ever True Anywhere Care. Formerly Lutheran Senior Services, their team walks alongside you every step of your journey. Whether it's navigating a dementia diagnosis or handling end-of-life care and bereavement, they offer world-class caregivers right here in St. Louis. Call 314-597-6498 or visit evertrueanywherecare.org.
Hey guys, it's Kevin Wheeler. Struggling with low energy, performance issues, or weight gain? Game Day Men's Health has you covered with testosterone therapy, ED treatments, and more, all in a relaxed environment that's like being in the man cave. At Game Day, you get a free testosterone test and consultation all in just an hour. Game Day is the premier men's health clinic with 3 area locations in Chesterfield, O'Fallon, Missouri, and Glen Carbon, Illinois. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com. That's GameDayMen'sHealth.com and get back to the top of your game with Game Day Men's Health.
Hey guys, Dave and Rach here for our good friends at Smart Mouth. So it is unique by the very definition of the word. It's the only mouth rinse out there with 2 chemicals that combine to prevent bad breath for 24 hours a day with just 2 rinses a day.
Never have bad breath again. You can find Smart Mouth locally at Schnucks and Deerbergs or at Walgreens, Walmart, and Amazon. Visit smartmouth.com to snag a special discount on your next Smart Mouth purchase. That's smartmouth.com/Glover.
Actual price will depend on product and subscription plan.
plan featured products are compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. See website for details, restrictions, and important safety information.
Want a boost in and out of the bedroom? Hims has you covered. Introducing a new 2-in-1 approach to level up your game. Tadalafil for better bedroom performance and zinc for testosterone support. Put it all together and you've got what you need to turn things all the way up. Getting started is simple. Just go to hims.com/joy to start your free online visit. Through Hims, you can access ED treatments including pills, chews, and more. 100% online. No office visits, no pharmacy lines. Just fill out a simple intake form and a licensed medical provider will determine if treatment's right for you. If prescribed, it ships free and discreetly to your door. Find affordable treatment options at up to 95% less than brand names at hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy, hims.com/joy.
Hey, this is Charlie Brennan. Have you noticed loose bricks or missing mortar around your house on the walls, the patios, the walkways, the porch, or the chimneys? If so, you need to call Morelli Tuck Pointing. 314-645-1387. You might need one of two things: solid tuck pointing, the removal of old mortar with the replacement of new mortar throughout an entire wall or chimney, or maybe just spot tuck pointing. Spot tuck pointing involves the tuck pointing of a particular wall, a chimney, or other masonry surface in an area where it's needed the most. One example might be settlement cracks, usually found above or below windows or doorways. 314-645-1387. Call the company that the Brennans have called when we've needed tuck pointing. Morelli Tuck Pointing, the masonry specialists. Winner of the Angie's List Super Service Award every year since 2005. 314-645-1387, MorelliTuckPointing.com.
Hey guys, Glover here for Universal Windows Direct. Fall is the perfect season to tackle those home improvement projects before the weather turns cold. And if your windows are old, drafty, or just plain inefficient, now's the time to finally do something about it. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, no limit whether you need 4 or 14, you only pay per half. And to make it even easier, you'll get 0% financing for 3 years, so no interest, no pressure. So don't wait for the first freeze to realize your windows aren't cutting it. Call 314-334-2522 or visit universalwindowsdirect.com.
Hey, it's Jeff at Sachs Financial. I got a free event coming up to maximize your Social Security, September 22nd and 23rd. Come meet me in person and find out how to maximize your Social Security. Sign up at retiresafestl.com/events.
It's the Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX, sponsored by the St. Louis Aquarium. Explore the St. Louis Aquarium at Union Station.
Chris Ranji, Amy Mark Scores with you. We have been talking a lot this morning about the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and the manhunt continues. So we will be following updates on that. The Wall Street Journal and PBS, ABC reporting that a rifle was found in the nearby woods. So but they're still looking for the suspect. So we'll continue updates on that.
Also, the president says he's going to give Kirk the Presidential Medal of Freedom posthumously.
Okay.
So,
Ranj, there was this piece was in the Free Press, I believe, but Matthew Continetti has written for various magazines, not just the Free Press, but I think commentary. I'm pretty sure he's written for the National Review, but a conservative commentator. But he wrote in his piece, there's a paragraph I want to read, a small paragraph, and it said, "That is why Kirk's death feels like a watershed. It is the most stunning evidence we have to date that America is becoming two nations, divided not only by politics, but by culture, lifestyle, psychology, and epistemology. Weak institutions, corrupted data, rampant distrust, political enmity, and an apparent inability to control criminality and the dangerously mentally ill tear us apart like a centrifugal force." And I think there's a lot to be said for that when we're looking at the United States and the cultural threads that we have, our cultural fabric. Sometimes it feels like that fabric is being pulled apart at the seams and the threads are barely hanging on. that we're becoming more divided, where it's not just politics. It's not Bill Clinton shaking hands with H.W. Bush. It's something deeper than that, where our lifestyles, our beliefs, our epistemology, and I think that kind of goes into what we were saying. The right, the left, a lot of times the phrasing used is absolutes or extreme, right? The end of democracy, the end of your way of life. The enemy is out to get you and your family and your lifestyle.
That's the really dangerous stuff.
That's
I think.
really dangerous.
Like they are the enemy. Your neighbor who might be a Democrat is the enemy.
Going after everything you hold dear.
We can't do that.
And I think, because I was thinking that too, what Matthew Continetti pointed out, that this does feel really big, Ranja. This feels as big as if it were, because he's not a politician, but it feels as big as if a leading politician, or not that it would make a difference, but a figure like that had been assassinated. And I think it's because, like he points out, we feel very divided. It felt very, very divided. And I hope it slows us down, that we shouldn't be so fast and loose with how we talk about each other.
Yeah. And this is, look, I what really disturbs me in the last 24 hours is the president's comments yesterday. He sent a video, or he posted a video in response. And my hope was that he would say, okay, everybody needs to cool it. And political violence is never, ever, ever okay from anybody. But then he did it. And then he only went through left-wing violence and completely discounted that it happens on the other end. And in order for this to totally stop, it has to be acknowledged by everybody that there is violence everywhere and that we are all responsible for it, regardless of what political point of view you have. Doesn't matter if you're left or right. We are all responsible for dialing it back, not calling the other the enemy of the people, not even calling the other people the other. Let's all acknowledge that we might have different political viewpoints, but we are all Americans and we all want better lives for ourselves, and we should want better lives for our neighbors or people who live in other states. I want all Americans to live good lives. I know that life isn't easy, but I don't want a situation where life is more difficult than it needs to be. Okay. And I don't feel like there are enough people in the country now, and this is different now than it was 15, 20 years ago, but I don't feel like there are enough people in the country that want that for others. Like, they might want it for themselves, but they're not too worried about what happens to other people, And I believe that if we have that empathy for one another, that would make our situation better. And maybe we wouldn't get to this point where we are now, where we do look at people who have different political viewpoints as potential enemies, or we need to destroy them, or we need to get rid of all liberals. Like, liberalism should die. Like, I'm not a conservative at all, but I don't think conservatism should die. I think there should be conservatives. There should be liberals. We should have different viewpoints.
Yes. I mean, our country, it hinges on having disagreement and debate. Unity or agreement in and of itself is not virtuous. There were some pretty united bad people, throughout history. I mean, the Nazis were united, right? So unity in and of itself is not virtuous. It's okay for us to have debate. And I also want to acknowledge, too, that this is not treating heavy issues as if they were trivial. Like, Ron and I disagree very strongly and will probably never agree
on a lot
of
some stuff.
Pretty consequential issues.
Yes.
And they are consequential, whether it be, abortion or other very controversial issues. And we're not going to agree, which means that politically at times there will be legislation that you disagree with and there will be legislation that I disagree with. But even in the highly consequential and highly emotional topics. I mean, we know I'm skirting the issue here, but whether it is abortion or transgender or immigration, we're going to have to realize that people are going to disagree, but we do need to be empathetic. We need to not villainize the other side, and we need to not dehumanize. Dehumanization, which has been accelerated by social media, is one of the most dangerous elements, and I think one of the worst parts of the way we interact now behind keyboards or through screens.
It's a good thing it's Thursday, because every Thursday we get an opportunity to speak with Chief Washington correspondent for CBS News, Major Garrett, who always seems to have the right thing to say. So we will talk to Major when we come back on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Hey guys, Dave Glover here from the Dave Glover Show. So, what is my show? My show is 4 different people living 4 different lives, all coming together every day between 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. to talk about life, actual life, not so much headlines or did you see what Trump did today or XYZ. Never predictable, because I never know what I'm going to talk about from one segment to the next. So it truly is unique and unpredictable. Join us.
104.1 FM KMOX.
You've got a ton of equity in your home. You're sitting on a gold mine, and you could do so much with all that cash, like travel, invest it, or pay off debt, but you can't touch it unless you sell your home. But you really don't want to move. And besides, homes are sitting on the market for a long time these days. You're trapped, right? Well, not with Truehold. With Truehold, you can cash out your equity in as little as 30 days. And listen, you don't have to move. You can stay in the home you love as a renter. So that's Truehold's Sell and Stay program. You cash out your entire home's value and stay put. Truehold even covers property taxes, property insurance, and essential repairs. So imagine using that equity to travel, invest, or pay off debt and stay in your home. It's brilliant, especially in this slow market. You get an all-cash offer now by calling 1-855-300-9993. You can also visit Truehold.com, the smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without moving. That's Truehold.com.
Currently, it is 79 degrees, sunshine and hot today, a high of 92. Tonight, partly cloudy, a low of 61.
Weather sponsored by Renner Garage Door, forward and back, RENNER.
Cardinal Cowboy here. Renner Garage Door has brought cheers to their fans for decades with the best styles, cutting-edge tech, and good old family values. Get your free repair or replacement quote today. Forward and back. Giddy up!
RENNER, RENNER.
Hey, it's Matt Pauley for i3 Broadband, the internet provider in the Pauley household. I think you'd love it if you had them as well. We've got the 2 gig package at our home, 2 gig upload, 2 gig download mirrored, and we're spending less money than we did with the cable company for lesser service. Plus, right now, they've got savings over $400 beyond their already low standard pricing. You got questions? They've got answers. Call 877-976-0711, and they've got people there who can answer all your questions, or head to their website, i3broadband.com.
It's the most inspiring night in sports, the Musial Awards at Stiefel Theater. You can be in the audience for this nationally televised event from St. Louis. Named for Stan the Man, the Musial Awards celebrate those who uplift us through their extraordinary sportsmanship. Experience the remarkable moments and people that make this an event like no other. The Musial Awards, presented by Maryville University, Saturday, November 22nd. Tickets at musialawards.com.
Feel like your paycheck barely keeps up with your life? At the seminar, learn how real people are building passive income and retiring early using real estate. It's all happening live in St. Louis with Lifestyles Unlimited, September 27th and 28th. You'll leave with a step-by-step plan to change your future. Text radio to 88007. That's live in St. Louis, September 27th and 28th. Text radio to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. If you're a renter, make sure you're protected. Renter's insurance includes options that cover stolen property, personal injury, and living expenses if your place is damaged. Quote Renters Insurance at Progressive.com.
Fridays mean football. From a zoo to the NFL, we've got your weekend covered.
On three, ready?
It's Friday football on KMOX. It's Major News with Major Garrett, our weekly conversation with CBS's chief Washington correspondent.
Chris and Amy on KMOX on this Thursday. It is September 11th, 24th anniversary of the September 11th attacks. And we also are discussing what happened yesterday in Utah with the shooting and killing of Charlie Kirk, the conservative talk show host and activist. And we are now happy to be talking with CBS News chief Washington correspondent. He is the host of The Takeout, a podcast you can watch and listen to, CBS News 24/7. Major Garrett is with us on KMOX. How are we doing, Major?
Good morning. Morning, everyone.
So what is your feeling now? I mean, obviously, you have been doing a lot of thought about what happened yesterday. Amy and I have been talking about the direction the country is going and what this could potentially mean. And you always seem to have a way to put things very succinctly. So as you see and think about what happened yesterday, what is your feeling today?
I'm still sick to my stomach, as I was yesterday when the news first broke. And I'm devastated for everyone who was there. They were witness to a public assassination, a murder in full public view. Everyone who was there will be traumatized by that event and what they witnessed for the rest of their lives. On my show last night, we talked to a gentleman named Christian Overton. He was there with a 17-year-old son. They were very close. I heard in his voice a sense of disbelief and a sense of horror, and that's shared by everyone who was there. This is an event for those people that will never be able to be properly absorbed or contextualized or explained. For our broader American community, it's deeply traumatic, and it calls upon all of us to ask a lot of hard questions that don't have easy answers. Most hard questions don't, but these hard questions stubbornly do not have easy answers. The simple kind of facile question is, how did we get here? Well, gradually, incrementally. How do we get back? Guess what? Gradually, incrementally, we have to, as a country, as a society, begin to dial back the temptations that lead us to label in the most harsh terms imaginable and think that that doesn't leave a larger echo. It does leave a larger echo, psychically and otherwise. And we have been seeing a spasm of political violence and politically motivated and politically adjacent violence in our country rising. It's not the worst it's ever been. I'm young enough to remember the late 60s in which we had a president assassinated, a civil rights leader assassinated, the brother of that president assassinated, all in and around politics, all massively traumatizing events for our country that left many in this country in the late 60s wondering if we would ever survive as a country. So I don't want to suggest that this is more catastrophic than it's ever been, but we are on a course that is destabilizing, violent, and frightening. And each of us can do our part to be less of that and to be more forgiving, more tolerant, more accepting, and more committed to the furtherance of this great gift that our founders, imperfect though they were, gave us, which is a free country, a prosperous country, and a country that's worth pushing forward in its best possible ways. And I'm hopeful that we can do that, but I'm still sick to my stomach.
Major, as we look at where we are, I read a quote earlier from a conservative writer, Matthew Continetti, who talked about how this death of Charlie Kirk, his assassination feels like a watershed, highlighting not just political division in our country, but cultural, lifestyle, psychology, epistemology. When you, in your experience, and you're on boots on the ground day to day, looking at the American political environment, do you see elements of hope in the American people that we are not necessarily the very online crowd that seems to suck the oxygen out of the room? Or do you see trends that concern you deeply?
Both. They live in constant conflict. And we had Matthew Continetti on my program last night because he is a wise and able chronicler of our times culturally. He's very familiar with the conservative movement. He's familiar with its well springs. Charlie Kirk is a new kind of voice in a conservative movement that Matthew, as he shared with my audience last night, he said conservatism in America has always had a youthful spirit. He said many of the most important conservatives of the 1960s and late 70s started in the 1950s. And he went through sort of a name check of that. And he said Charlie Kirk is part of that history. So I wanted Matthew's voice, not only his long-standing awareness of this, but his eloquence about it. And here's what societies do. They decide what watershed moments are or aren't. I think this has the potential to be a watershed moment. It also has the potential to be part of a banal, repetitive, strident exchange of whataboutism and who to blameism that gets us nowhere and that only corrodes our sense of the underlying humanity and the grief we must feel for a person who exchanged views in public, did so on college campuses, believed what he believed, was courageous about it, and was slaughtered for it. Just as we grieve, I hope still, for the members of the Minnesota legislature who were murdered in their own homes, grieve for Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, whose house was set on fire while he was inside of it. There are other examples that we could all cite. This is not a time for whataboutism. It's not a time for reductive blame shifting. We have to understand there is a fever present in our politics that makes us decide for ourselves that every dispute is civilizational and existential, meaning if we don't get our way, if we don't prevail, something we cherish will perish. That's not what the American experiment is about. The American experiment was a rejection of that very attitude that power once achieved always was held by the one who achieved it and always at the expense of someone else. The American experiment is about a constant evolution and shifting of power and a sense that that power was harnessed and linked to a set of transformative ideas about equality and liberty, pursuit of happiness, and a constitutional structure that guaranteed not the rights of the majority, but the rights of the minority. And the give and take in there is complex and it's difficult, and you're not always going to be happy with the resolution of a political issue. But you carry forward because the carrying forward is what keeps the experiment going. An experiment that revolutionized the world when it started and continues to revolutionize the world to this day. Though we have doubts about it, we wonder about it sometimes, it is and has been the best experiment for free discourse, liberty, protection of minority rights, religious liberty, and all the rest. We have it. It is the great gift we have been given. It is our obligation to carry it forward.
Major, so the thing that has concerned me going back to last night is, I mean, all the stuff that you're talking about, and what I wanted was for everybody, Republicans, Democrats, to at the same time say, look, we gotta tone this down. Let's cool it now. Most prominent Democrats I've seen have done that. I think most prominent Republicans that I have seen, for the most part, have done that, with the exception of some who are saying that the libs of TikTok, that pretty popular account, saying this is war, stuff like that. Do you feel like in Washington, based on what you have seen, the reaction, that for the most part people have done that? Or do you think that it's left the door open for, oh gosh, we're now at war with one another?
Well, it certainly has left the door open for we're at war with one another. My only point is this: for there to be war, there needs to be warriors. Don't be a warrior. Be a warrior for your country, for its preservation, for its civility, for its core belief in itself that it is worth preserving, even if you don't always get your way. That's one of the great challenges of our country. You don't always get your way. And there is a give and take and a push and pull. And in that push and pull, we, by fits and starts, move forward as a country. We always have. I net believe we always can. But I will not lie to this audience and tell you that I'm 100% optimistic and as formidable in my native-born American-fueled optimism as I was 10 or 15 years ago. I'm not. There are times I am deeply scared and scarred. Trust me, it's not easy doing this work, the work that I do, the work I've chosen to do, in moments of massive emotional dislocation, to look into a TV camera and pretend like everything is all right, I'm in control. I'm not in control. I'm as deeply disturbed by this as everyone else is. The obligation of my job is to carry it forward. That's a small price to pay up against everything else I'm describing, but it's the one thing I can do. It's one thing I've chosen to do. But it's harder than it's ever been. And there are times I feel deeply discouraged. I'm just going to be very candid with the audience about that. But I do tell people, as I tell myself, hold that discouragement, hold that sense of fear, hold that sense of anxiety. Don't deny it. Don't suppress it. Don't pretend it doesn't exist, but find a way forward. And I'm trying as much as everyone else is today.
I think of the poem and the line, "Things fall apart, the center cannot hold," and how the U.S. has seen a lot and has been on the brink of falling apart, and things have held. You mentioned what you've seen in your career, and it has been such a heavy 24 hours. It is also the 24th anniversary of the September 11th attacks. And do you, I guess, like just soaking in what we had in the past 24 hours, also remembering where you were 24 years ago.
Yeah, with President Bush in Sarasota, Florida, when the world was turned upside down. And I will say this, they're not related, but they're not unrelated. What happened 24 years ago this morning shattered many things in our country, shattered a sense of impermeability, a kind of, well, we are safe here, and we shall always remain safe here. And it shattered that sense that we understand the hostilities of the world, and we can cope with the hostilities of the world. That all intruded upon our psyche and left deep, deep scars that are still with us. And they created a kind of new vulnerability. And that new vulnerability, I think, echoes through things that I was talking about a moment ago. Not directly, but they're part of the larger conversation. When, as a nation, you feel vulnerable in ways you've never felt before, you seek protection and you seek answers, and things that did not necessarily feel existential to you or civilizational to you do. And that was, I think, one of the many reactions to 9/11. And I think it has cascaded through our own internal domestic politics. And the sense that when one is fearful, one wants to know whose side everyone is on. And that sideism has come into our politics. And if you're on the wrong side, maybe you're not just someone who's a fellow American who disagrees with you. You might be an enemy. And that enemization of us as a people, I don't think you can look at 9/11 and say they're utterly unrelated. There's a psychic journey that I think flows through that. I'm not articulating it well. I'm still struggling to try to put some sort of words to it, but I have to believe, and I do believe, that there are things about what was set in motion on 9/11, and those who set 9/11 in motion wanted to tear our country apart. That was their overall goal. Their overall goal wasn't to slaughter their way to the conquest of America. They knew that was impossible. Asymmetric warfare never makes that possible, which terrorism is. But it can set in motion psychic forces that can tear a country apart. And those who were responsible for 9/11 had that as one of their preeminent motives. And I do believe there is something about that courses through everything we've just discussed the last 5 or 10 minutes.
Major Garrett, the takeout today, anything you want people to know about it?
We're going to do as important a show as we can because this is an important moment. And I hope you'll take it on board because we're going to do our best.
We will. Major Garrett, we appreciate you as always, and we will talk to you next week.
Okay, thanks.
Chief Washington correspondent for CBS News, Major Garrett. The Takeout on CBS News 24/7. You can watch it. You can listen to it as well wherever you get your podcasts. It's Chris and Amy on KMOX.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right, nice, soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
Just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
It's back, and you're invited to join us in Forest Park, September 19th and 20th, for the 53rd Annual Great Forest Park Balloon Race Weekend, presented by PNC Bank. Attendance is free, and the number of memories and photos you can capture is endless. Special thanks to New Ground International and Blue Moon Brewing Company. The 53rd Annual Great Forest Park Balloon Race Weekend. For more details, visit the events page at KMOX.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're dedicated to serving people 50 and up like me. Our needs are different. Big Wireless wants us in an unlimited plan, but if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on affordable, reliable plans, including data that suits your needs, not ours. Our plans start at just $20, and you'll get the best customer service in the business.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Setting goals for retirement is one thing, but knowing how to achieve those goals is another.
What are your wishes, hopes, and dreams? What's retirement look like for you? Because everybody, that picture is different.
For tips on building a better nest egg, tune in to the All Financial Hour with host Steve All, Saturday mornings at 10 or Sunday evenings at 6, right here on KMOX. You can also visit yourmoneymattersstl.com for more details.
Fairwinds River's Edge is more than a place to live, it's a place to belong. Come see why we have been voted Best Independent Senior Living Community for 4 years in a row by U.S. News & World Report. We think you'll like it here, and the experts agree. Come see us for yourself. Call to schedule a tour with lunch or to RSVP for our senior prom on September 24th with live entertainment by the Backstreet Cruisers. Find us online at fairwindsriversedge.com.
Hey St. Louis, this is Ben Barnett, board certified master arborist with Timberline Professional Tree Care. In my nearly 30 years in the industry, I've seen firsthand what damage falling trees can do to your property. The sad thing is that most trees that fail have defects that can be identified by a well-trained certified arborist. At Timberline, we have 7 ISA certified arborists, 3 of which have gone through extensive training and testing to become tree risk assessment qualified. Our track certified arborists can perform a thorough assessment of your tree and provide mitigation options for your peace of mind. If there's nothing wrong with your tree, we will let you know that it poses a low risk of failure. If it needs to be removed, we'll tell you in a detailed written report. It's all about honesty and integrity here at Timberline Professional Tree Care. So call us today to get a tree risk assessment scheduled, 636-479-7475, or contact us through our website at stltreecare.com.
The Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Chris Ranji, Amy Mark Scores with you, and we are on the Twitter at Chris Amy KMOX. You can follow us on Twitter, and we have our question of the week. And it being Thursday, I believe this is your very last day to vote on the question of the week because the results will be revealed tomorrow.
You don't want to be left out.
It's sad. You don't want to be left out.
There's enough sadness. You don't want to be left out of this. You'll be really sad.
Question of the week is, once sports betting becomes legal in Missouri, will you partake? Are you a partaker of gambling?
I'm already a partaker. So obviously my answer is yes. I mean, I don't do it a lot. I'm not like
You had to go to your mom's house?
I have to go to I got to go to my mom's house
To
in
bet.
Illinois. That's the only way that you can bet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it's really funny just thinking about people, and I know a lot of people who do this because they might live pretty close to a bridge.
Any bridge,
any
really.
bridge on the Mississippi, and they just drive over the river. They might go to a little establishment, or they go to a gas station parking lot. They park, they place their bets, they go back home.
So I don't know. Now, see, this is what I've heard. I don't partake. I don't plan on partaking in gambling. Not a gambler. Huge shock for all of you, I know. But for the Kentucky Derby for several years, we had a friend who would always place bets, a family friend. And he would say, listen, I'll go place a bet. You tell me what horse you want.
Mm-hmm.
And he would do it for like my mom and my sister, a real family affair. And he drove to a parking lot on the east side. So I don't know if this is a pop-up gambling shop, if this is illegal. I don't know what it is because I don't know. I didn't go. But he would drive to a parking lot where the world's most beautiful girls were.
Oh.
I know.
Well, hello.
Hello. I didn't know they were
Tell
so
me
close.
more.
Well, they are right there, and that's where he would place the horse bets.
Oh. And he didn't go inside, is what you're telling me.
Oh, I don't know, but I don't know.
I bet he went inside.
Where do you place bets in a parking lot? Is that an illegal operation?
No.
Okay. It's
Just
not?
any parking lot. You can park wherever you want and place a bet.
Oh.
Yeah, you don't have to ask him.
He didn't have to park where the most beautiful girls were?
No, absolutely not,
No,
Amy.
that's where he parked.
It's just
He told me that's where it was.
It's a geolocation thing. So he didn't go inside. He just used the parking lot.
I didn't
Sure.
ask him about going inside.
Sure.
I just thought that was the place.
I don't believe him. Joanne Lippman is a journalist, a lecturer at Yale, and the former managing editor of Wall Street Journal. And she was at Ground Zero when she was at the World Trade Center when 9/11 happened 24 years ago. Her story is next on KMOX.
In the fight against Alzheimer's, now matters more than ever because now we have new treatments that could change everything. This is Megan Lynch. Join me Saturday, October 25th at the Chesterfield Amphitheater for the St. Louis Walk to End Alzheimer's. It's the region's largest fundraiser to fight dementia and support those living with the disease because now is the time for action. You can join in the fight by registering for the walk at alz.org/walk. That's alz.org/walk.
I hear from sellers all the time that they fear they have missed out on the selling market. They are so relieved to learn September, October, and November are strong selling months. With low inventory and hopefully lower interest rates, this fall will be a hot one for real estate. I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. You may have heard me say, why pay more than 4 for years? Now it's why pay more than 2, saving you even more money. Call me 314-441-4444. And remember, why pay more than 2?
Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri, Kansas, and Nevada.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. 1 discount per household.
The trusted voice of St. Louis. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Hey, it's Tom Ackerman. Football is back, thank goodness. And Underdog is the best place to select entries and win money all season long. You can play right now in Missouri, and playing on Underdog is easy. Just choose whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more during football season. There is nothing better. Download the app today and sign up with promo code TOM. That's really important. Promo code TOM to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code TOM. Millions of fans have already won billions making plays on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog, make plays, win money. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
It is 11 o'clock, and right now we've got sun and 81 degrees downtown. I'm Debbie Monterey. The manhunt underway for the shooter who killed conservative political activist Charlie Kirk, who was shot during an event at Utah Valley University Wednesday. Officials gave an update this morning. We get more from CBS's Anna Schechter.
They have a footprint, they have a forearm print, a palm print. That can help them, but it can only go so far. I think that the technology of surveillance footage is really going to be the key here.
9/11 remembrance ceremonies this morning in New York City, at the Pentagon, and in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Belleville's 9/11 ceremony starts at the bottom of the hour. Organizer Sharon Strasbaugh says if you can't make it today, the memorial is open from dawn to dusk, 7 days a week.
There are some brochures there that you can pick up that kind of help you as you walk down the timeline, help you understand some of the thought that went behind the building of the memorial, and gives you a lot of information that, again, if you were not alive for 2001, for 9/11, if you're not familiar with the events of that day, hopefully you are by the time you walk our timeline and read the information in the brochure.
The Belleville 9/11 Memorial sits next to the firehouse near where highways 151 and 15 converge. From the business desk, sponsored by Krentz Financial Group, KFGadvisors.com, the construction industry in the United States getting hit with both higher costs and a labor shortage. Ken Simonson, chief economist with Associated General Contractors of America, tells KMOX.
Costs have really shot up lately for steel, aluminum, copper, and lumber. Not coincidentally, all of those are subject to dramatic new tariff rates.
Simonson says there appears to be a big drop-off in the overall number of construction projects underway. He points out that, in turn, is impacting construction employment. New data on a key indicator on the health of our economy is out today. The Consumer Price Index shows inflation continued to rise in the month of August. 5 St. Louisans made the latest Forbes list of the 400 richest Americans. Coming in at 98 is Worldwide Technology founder David Stewart, reportedly worth $12.4 billion. Pauline McMillan Kyneth, great-granddaughter of the founder of Cargill, is 158th. Jim Kavanaugh of Worldwide Technology, 187th. Jack Dorsey of Twitter and Square fame is 270th. And at 352 is Roger Riney, who founded Scottrade. The weather is sponsored by Chesterfield Fence and Deck.
The heat wave starts this afternoon with sunshine as we head up to 91. And tonight will be clear, though 67. Mostly sunny and hot tomorrow, high 94. Saturday, sunshine, some clouds, and very hot, high 97. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Right now, we've got sunshine, 81 degrees. Chesterfield Fence and Deck is your premier provider of fences, decks, patios, sunrooms, and more. Call for a free estimate, now offering 48 months interest-free financing on your next outdoor project. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, chesterfieldfence.com. It's 11:03. I'm Debbie Monterey, KMOX News.
The Chris and Amy Show on KMOX, brought to you by St. Louis Union Station. St. Louis Wheel Park now offers 3 brand new amusement rides.
As our fathers did before, we shall win this unwanted war, and our children will enjoy the future we'll be giving.
That was Jack Buck. About a week later, it was September 17th of 2001 when Major League Baseball resumed play after the terrorist attacks on September 11th, 2001. We are 24 years removed from that event, which happened in New York City, a plane crashing in Pennsylvania, and in Washington, D.C. as well. And a journalist and lecturer at Yale, former managing editor of the Wall Street Journal, is Joanne Lippman. She was there at the World Trade Center when the first plane hit, and she joins us now on KMOX. Joanne, it's good to talk to you, and we appreciate you taking the time today. How are you?
I'm just fine. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be with you.
Yeah, we're glad to talk to you, and we didn't expect that the news would be what it was yesterday. It's been kind of just a pretty difficult 24 hours. Less than 24 hours actually since yesterday. We kind of figured that we would just be remembering 9/11 today and talking about it. So we know that this event for you was very, very personal. Could you tell people where you were when this all happened?
Sure. So on that morning, at the time, I was a senior editor at the Wall Street Journal, and our office, our headquarters, was directly across the street from the World Trade Center. My subway stop was in the World Trade Center. And as it happened, my daughter's birthday was and is the next day, September 12th. And that morning, I was shopping inside the World Trade Center. They had shops in that bottom level for a birthday present. And I was with a colleague of mine. And suddenly, everybody's evacuated from the building. And no one really knew what was happening at that time. And when we got out on the street, and saw this massive gash at the top of the towers. First of all, nobody actually assumed at that time, if you put yourself in that mindset back then, nobody even imagined it was a terror attack. I heard people say, oh, it was a sightseeing airplane that got lost, or somebody else said it was a helicopter. I was sure it was a helicopter. Nobody thought this was intentional, but it was a horrific aviation accident. That's what we thought at the time. And I will tell you, it was the most horrendous sight you can imagine of, cars pulled up every which way. I remember there was a taxi cab with a chunk of concrete on top of it that had fallen, and things were still falling from the sky when we emerged from that building. It looked like it was snowing. It was a clear blue sky. But it seemed like snow that was falling. It was a very bizarre scene. The snow, of course, was pulverized steel and concrete. And there were also financial papers that were wafting down from the upper floors. And my colleague and I, we assumed this was a terrible aviation accident. We're like, we got to get to the office. And that was when, on our way to attempt to get to the office, that we saw actually the real destruction, which actually came out the other end of the building. The plane had gone through, had flung sort of all of everything, the people, the airplane parts, everything had been flung forward. And when we tried to get to our office, that's what we encountered. And I don't really want to describe exactly what we saw, but no human should see the things that we encountered. It was a horrific sight of what happens when a plane smashes and throws bodies onto the street. We were trying to get to our office, and we were just in front of the second tower, the South Tower, when we heard a plane, the loud plane, like right over our heads. And we thought, great, they're like, it's going to rescue the people stuck at the top of the tower. We thought it was a rescue plane. And then suddenly there was just this massive explosion, just an explosion like I can't even describe, sonic boom. You could feel it. And everybody who was on that street just ran and flattened themselves against the building. And it was a instinct, like a base instinct. There was no thought to it. Nobody looked up at the sky. It was just your basic primitive brain telling you that the sky is about to fall on your head, and you go and you flatten yourself. And it was only then that we realized that we were under attack. And at that moment, by the way, where the second plane came in, your assumption is first you realize you're under attack, and secondly, you say, what's next? And the people who were down there, that was the primary thought. This has happened now. What might be coming after this? We were able to escape on foot. We had to go underneath the burning buildings, which are very close to the river. So everybody like us who was escaping on foot basically hugged the river with this kind of idea in your head that if the towers fell over, which is what it looked like they would, you could jump in the water. Or if another attack came in, you could jump in the water. I mean, this is the thought process when you're in the midst of it. It was being in a battle. It was very hard to comprehend what was happening. Another colleague of mine actually took some photos of that group of people who were fleeing from the site. And you see the burning towers in the back and nobody looking at them. But I think it was just so hard to process that the people who were leaving the site couldn't process what was happening and were just kind of staring straight ahead, trying to just, and walking, not running, just like they looked like refugees from a war-torn country that were just so shell-shocked that it was just your brain, your conscious brain is sort of turning off, and you're just like, your body is telling you, you got to get out of this place. It was horrific. But I will say the Wall Street Journal came through in the most brilliant way that day. Brilliant.
We're speaking with Joanne Lippman, a journalist, Yale lecturer, and former managing editor of the Wall Street Journal. As you heard her detailing, she was in one of the World Trade Center towers when the first plane hit. And because so many people see things on social media, Joanne, there is a clip of a man on TikTok kind of recapping some of your story, and it shows a picture of a receipt. And this receipt for the store that you said you were at on that concourse level of the World Trade Center, you bought some magnets for your daughter. The receipt is the time on it is stamped 9 minutes after the first plane hit, which speaks to kind of what you were saying. You're buying these magnets, and people didn't quite realize what was going on because there is such a ruckus in New York all the time. There are noises, and people didn't realize the magnitude of what was going on. And when you left that building, you walked into a different world, a world forever changed.
That's right. And actually, it kind of speaks to the jaded New Yorker in some of us, which was, I was online at the cash register. My daughter was 10. Her birthday was the next day. She wanted refrigerator magnets, and I had finally found the refrigerator magnets. And I was online when the place was being evacuated, and the cashier was like, "Something's going on. We got to get out of here." And I said, "I'm not leaving until we ring up the refrigerator magnets." It's my daughter's birthday, we were sort of that jaded. We assumed if there was something going on, it was either a false alarm or it was something minor. We'd never experienced anything of that magnitude, obviously. And actually my colleague and I, who were there, and the cashier, we were among the last people who actually left the building. And that receipt was, I believe it was 9 minutes after the plane had struck.
Joanne, you wrote about this day, and it's in a piece. You can read it at Yahoo News, Katie Couric Media. It's available if you want to find it online. And one of the things that you point out is the front page of the Wall Street Journal the next day, and how the headline is "Terrorists Destroy World Trade Center, Hit Pentagon and Raid with Hijacked Jets." And the thing that you noted is on that front page, nowhere on it are Democrats blaming President Bush, Republicans trying to shift blame away from President Bush or the administration, that it was all just about the event that happened, that it wasn't, we didn't immediately go into defense mode and defense of the parties or blame on the other side. That seems very unheard of today. It feels nuts that happened, and it was like that 24 years ago, and things were very, very different then.
Yes, I'm really glad you brought that up. So first, I have to say my colleagues at the Wall Street Journal were heroic, were amazing that day, because our office was pretty much destroyed. People had BlackBerries, and there was no iPhone yet. People had BlackBerries, and every single person just became a reporter. It didn't matter what their job was in the organization. Everybody was doing interviews, and they were doing eyewitness accounts and all kinds of things. And they didn't know who, because our boss actually was missing at that time, didn't even know who to send this reporting to. So they just sent it to the entire organization. And then, other people got to New Jersey and instantly somehow set up a makeshift newsroom, because our building was pretty much destroyed. It was amazing what they did, and what everyone came together and created this newspaper that was able to come out the next day, which itself was a miracle. But when I show this to my students at Yale, they're astonished to see that there's no finger pointing, there's no blaming, there's no politics. It's really, if you look at the headlines, it's about a nation stands in mourning and disbelief, right? It's the nation, it's unified. And it really is a reminder of a time when before when people trusted the press. First of all, the majority of Americans at that time still trusted the media. And also when neither people, news consumers nor the media, people were not looking at everything through a political lens, a polarized lens. That happened after 9/11. And it was a time when, there was more national unity. I mean, I will say, there was a lot of problems. There were conspiracy theories. There was some terrible violence against Muslims or people who looked like Muslims after 9/11. The mainstream press, though, didn't buy into the conspiracies. They gave them no oxygen. They didn't publicize them, and there was no social media that was going to sort of, elevate these conspiracy theories or the hatred or the vitriol. And so it was a different time. And I show this to students, and it's really hard for them to even imagine a world that isn't so polarized.
Joanne, in your piece, as Ranj mentioned, you can read Katie Couric Media, Yahoo News. You describe what you saw a little bit, just how graphic. There was, as you can imagine, like you said, you're not going to get into the details, but the bodies, the death of the parts of the plane. And you went to work reporting. How did you go into work mode, and how long was it before you were able, as a human with emotions, able to process the horrors that you saw?
That's such a great question. because the first thing that happened is you're immediately in work mode, like instantly in work mode as a journalist. And I actually say that those of us who were journalists, those of us at the Wall Street Journal, we had a mission. We were on a mission. And it was actually very helpful in getting through that trauma because we felt like we had a purpose and that we were contributing something by trying to understand and help others and shed light on these events. And we were so focused on that that it was very helpful. But I will say that there were a lot of people who, had very much lasting trauma afterward. I think to this day there are people who are still dealing with that trauma. For me, I think the healthiest thing I could possibly do for my own mental health was to keep working.
And for those of you, who also survived it, went through this, does it feel like, and I mean, clearly you're always going to be affected by this for the rest of your life. This is one of the most traumatic things to ever happen in this country, really anywhere in the world. I mean, it was an awful, awful day for those of us who remember it. But getting past it, do you feel like there's some of that there has been an ability that you can move forward in a really meaningful way from it?
It will always be an absolutely seminal moment in my life and in the lives of others who were directly experiencing it or were impacted by it, without question. I will also say, though, professionally as a journalist, it was, I think, the proudest moment of my life in terms of pride in the work that my colleagues were doing, in how everybody came together. The journalists that I worked with came together with such a sense of mission and purpose. And the work that was done was extraordinary under unbelievably difficult, extraordinary circumstances. And so, that also stays with me. I think the thing that is a little bit, to me, a little discombobulating is I've been teaching at Yale now for 5 years. And when I first started teaching 5 years ago, there were still students who at least were born by the time 9/11 happened, and whose families maybe were impacted by it. By this year, 5 years later, none of those students had been born. And I feel like when I'm telling them about it, it almost feels like they're looking at me like I'm a World War II veteran. Like it happened before they were alive. It's ancient history for them, which is a bizarre and discomforting kind of feeling.
Yeah, we've been talking about that, and I've been talking about it for a couple of years now, just that there are people alive now that have zero memory of it. And that's wild to me because it was so real at the time. And it's hard to imagine there are people who don't have memories of it. Joanne Lippman, journalist, lecturer at, it's crazy. Managing editor, former managing editor with the Wall Street Journal. Thank you for telling your story to us today. It was, I think people really liked hearing from you on this.
I appreciate that. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
That is Joanne Lippman with us. And you can read that piece. She wrote about it. Yahoo's got it. So if you want to find it on Yahoo News, it is right there for you to read. Joanne Lippman, journalist with us on 104.1 FM KMOX.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
We started Neovitin because we wanted to create a multivitamin for ourselves. That's why we focus on quality ingredients and formulas with our multivitamins. Neovitin 50 Plus multivitamins are formulated with over 20 vitamins and minerals, along with our 4-ingredient physician-formulated proprietary blend for the highest quality daily nutritional support. Give Neovitin 50 Plus multivitamins a try for yourself. Find them at your local Schnucks, Dierbergs, and online at neovitin.com.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is coming soon to the Show Me State. New Missouri customers can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. And when we go live, place just a $5 bet to unlock $300 in bonus bets. Starting November 17th, you can create your DraftKings Sportsbook account in Missouri and get ready for launch day on December 1st. DraftKings Sportsbook brings you everything you need to elevate your game day, including live in-game betting, lightning fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when we go live December 1st. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friend Mark Cantor at Cantor Injury Law. So as you know, I'm a lawyer, so I take this very seriously. Mark is a great attorney. He has a great team. He is from St. Louis. He is local. Call 314-628-9999 or visit cantorinjurylaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
It's the Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX, sponsored by the St. Louis Aquarium. Explore the St. Louis Aquarium at Union Station. The Chris and Amy Show, weekdays starting at 9 on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It's Chris and Amy on KMOX. Gas House Gang coming up at 12 o'clock. Bernie Miklasz and me, we will be with you today. We'll talk some Redbirds, and sure, we will have more for you on that show. Not sure. We will have more for you than just Cardinals talk today, but we will talk a lot of Cardinals starting at 12 o'clock.
Yeah. Matt, I mean, obviously for people who've been listening, it's been a heavy day. Like it's a heavy day. And I mentioned my friends earlier that are in Evergreen and making sure their family was safe.
Where the school shooting was yesterday.
In
Colorado.
The shooter suspect, self-inflicted gunshot wound, and 2 children injured. But it's one of those things, Ranj, where I think things like this should force us to slow down. I think it's good to get offline, talk to your family, talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, and hug your family and your friends and your neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just be human, and we could all benefit from being a little bit less social media crazy, a little bit less online, getting outside, because there is so much hurt in the world, and even in tough times, all of us have things to be grateful for. You know, whether it's your child or your spouse or the ability to step outside. And I think that's something that in this moment, we can all do our part. I mean, America is made up of Americans. We're all people. Neighborhoods are made up of neighbors. Communities are made up of people. And we can all do our part in bringing down the temperature and rehumanizing each other.
Well, it's going to have to be, as we started with today, a recognition from everybody that it needs to happen. And we need, you know what, we need to just stop right now with, it's their fault. Oh, it's their fault. Look, nothing is going to change as long as we continue that, because there's not ever going to be an arbiter that says, yep, it is in fact this political party's fault that everything sucks. And that's the final word right there. So in order for us to solve the actual violent tendencies, we're all just going to have to say stop right now. That's all there is to it. It goes on. It does go on both sides. It may not necessarily be equal, but it does go on both sides, and it needs to quit now. It has to. And I agree with you. And I think the vast majority of people do agree that they don't believe people who vote differently for them are the enemy or that they are out to get you. I think there are people, most definitely in politics or in the public sphere, who have bad intentions, who argue in bad faith. I think that does happen, but the vast majority of Americans just want what's good for themselves and for their neighbors. And the sooner we recognize that, and the sooner that those people get loud, the better off we're going to be. And that's what it's going to have to take, I think. Maybe people who are just right there, not necessarily in the middle, but even if you're left-leaning or right-leaning, but also not insane, get loud and say, let's calm this all down.
Yeah, and having serious conversations that political violence is not the answer. That's not it's un-American. It is not American to resort to violence to when I talk about ideologically, it's not American.
Mm-hmm.
We should roundly continue to condemn the CEO killing the United CEO. We're a little too frivolous sometimes. Like, oh, Luigi Mangione. Oh, he did. Oh, and I saw a lot of people who were very, very flippant with the murder of that United Healthcare CEO, because somehow in their minds, they could justify violence. You could call it political or, healthcare based, whatever. We need to shut down any type of flippancy or gloating or glorification of violence, and full stop, and have more serious conversations and not get used to making light of a murder like the United CEO.
If you want to beat the other side, if you want to call them the other side, if you want to beat them in ideas, great. Beat them with your ideas, but it can't be done like this. It can't be done with murder. And once we start going down that path, we are screwed, man. If that's what it is, if that's what we turn into, we are screwed. It cannot go this way. Amy Marks Corrs, Chris Ranji. Feel free to text into the show if you would like to. Voice messages on the Odyssey app as well. When we come back, NBC News national law enforcement and intelligence correspondent Tom Winter will join the show. We'll find out what Tom knows about the suspect. They have images of him now. They apparently have the weapon, or at least they believe they have the weapon. They have palm prints, they say, footprints. We will see what Tom Winter knows when we come back on KMOX.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Why should you hire America's largest injury law firm for your case? There's lots of reasons. Just like there's a reason millions of people called us last year in their time of need. When it comes to fighting for justice and compensation, millions of people across the country trust us to go to battle for them. We became the largest injury law firm in the world for a reason. There's only one Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Currently, it is 84 degrees, sunshine and hot today. It'll be 92 for our high this afternoon. Tonight, partly cloudy, a low of 61. Weather sponsored by FanDuel Sports Network. Cardinals fans, FanDuel Sports Network is your TV and streaming home of the Cardinals. Subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network and stream the Cardinals, or watch through your TV provider. Visit FanDuelSportsNetwork.com for details.
We can get more sleep, we can get more sun, and we can get more exercise, but the one thing we can't get more of is time. It's time to eliminate the one phrase that could be holding you back from reaching your retirement goals. I'll take care of it tomorrow. It's time to pick up the phone and make the call to Gary Goldberg and the team at Financial and Tax Strategies. 314-991-9005 or online at checkwithgary.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Centaurus Financial, Inc., an FFC registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Gary Goldberg, NPN number 918 888-615.
I'm Debbie Monterey, and I see more clearly thanks to the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates. Make your appointment today at 314-966-5000 or online at youridoc.com.
Let me tell you about this new pretzel cheddar club. Hey, I'm Carlos.
And I'm Ebony. And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Pretzel Cheddar Club
is the tangy Dijon with the pretzel bun. It takes it to a whole nother level.
It goes perfectly with the chicken and the cheddar cheese and the bacon.
Man, you know how much you love bacon. And I love the different varieties. Grilled, spicy, original. It gets you nice and excited for fall.
Order the Pretzel Cheddar Club with Cherry Berry and Sprite for a limited time on the Chick-fil-A app. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
There's nothing like when you get that part from eBay and it just fits. Yeah, the first time. So you can do less of this and get right back to more of this. At eBay, you'll find all the parts you need, guaranteed to fit, at prices you'll love. Sounds good, doesn't it? eBay, things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
I'm Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight, focusing on the Siteman Kids program at St. Louis Children's Hospital, and Dr. Mohammed Abdul-Baki.
We have a large global program that people do not know about, thinking this is St. Louis in the center of the country, and we get consulted on a large number of international consults.
Thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, go to siteman.wustl.edu.
Don't let mosquitoes ruin your time outdoors. At Rottler Pest Solutions, our mosquito control services are designed to dramatically reduce mosquito activity so you can enjoy your yard in peace. Take back your yard. Visit Rottler.com today to learn more and schedule your free inspection.
The countdown to kickoff starts here. Friday's focus on Mizzou, the Chiefs, and the NFL, only on KMOX.
The killing of Charlie Kirk yesterday in Utah is still the big news of the day, and we continue to cover it and bring to you what we know and what we are learning, and developments have happened this morning. To tell us more about that, the National Law Enforcement and Intelligence Correspondent for NBC News, Tom Winter, joins the show. We appreciate your time, Tom. How are you?
I'm doing well, Chris. How are you? Of course, I say I'm personally doing well. This obviously would have been a tough day for our country, given the 24th anniversary of 9/11. As I sit here and speak with you, they're still reading the names at Ground Zero. And then obviously yesterday's news is just compounds upon that because of obviously what it portends for targeted violence and political violence in our country.
We are continuing to see updates from national news outlets about a person of interest. The Utah Department of Public Safety and the FBI released a photo of someone they're calling a person of interest in connection with the shooting. It has been reported that a rifle has been recovered in the nearby woods. Can you let us know, what do we know so far regarding the rifle, ammunition, and person of interest?
Yeah, sure, Amy. We received an update approximately 9 a.m. Eastern time, and we were on the Today Show talking about it then. And in the course of that, what officials have said, and I'm going to incorporate information from Utah state authorities as well as the FBI in Utah, that yesterday they were able to, in the hours overnight, come across some surveillance camera video that they have. They put out 2 images now of a person they're describing as a person of interest. And one of the photos appears to be from a stairwell. And in fact, at that press conference, they said they recovered a video from the stairwell of the building where this individual apparently fired at Charlie Kirk. He goes up on the roof, fires that shot, and then flees by actually jumping off the roof, and then goes into a wooded area in a neighborhood nearby the university. That's where they recover this bolt-action, high-powered rifle, as they described it, then seen going through the neighborhood. And as you all know, these days, so many people have the Ring cameras, the various surveillance cameras on their houses. And so that allows them to kind of track the movements. You see them on a camera at one house. Okay, what's the next house over, or the house across the street? Do they have a camera? You track that next movement. And so it's really just shoe leather work that detectives and investigators are doing.
And at the same point in time, they're trying to use what are some of the most basic techniques in being a detective to then use the best technology they have, whether or not they can get an image that works for facial recognition. They'll analyze where the cell phones are in that area and be able to try and see, okay, what cell phones were in use. What cell phones were in use at the time at the university? Are there any that are then in use in that neighborhood? Can they start to triangulate if this individual has their cell phone on? There's some ways around that too. So look, it's high tech meets low tech, old fashioned investigative work, but it's where we're at now, which is they believe they have good images of this individual. They've released those images of a person of interest, and now they've got to try to find out who this person is and where they're at. This becomes one of the most dangerous parts of the investigation, because now whoever did this knows that there are images out there, and if it in fact is that person, they're going to know that they've got some heat on them, and that's a time where sometimes people can act out. I'm referring specifically to the Tsarnaev brothers in Boston, what they did once the images were released there, and on the other hand, maybe has this person kind of go to ground. But typically it's helpful. They'll get the tips from the public, and hopefully we're looking at an arrest here soon and a successful charges. Obviously, this investigation has moved forward significantly overnight and into the morning today, and that's just the information they've given to us, because as you both know, what they've told us so far is probably lagging where they actually are in the case.
So the images of the alleged shooter, we believe it's him. The weapon, they believe they have the weapon. At what point do they, in the investigation, start thinking about motive? It's all about catching him now. When do they get to the part where they think about motive? We've heard about messages written on bullets. We've seen the T-shirt that he's wearing. It's really hard to see what's on it, but there is an image on it, a hat, too, that he's wearing. So when do they get to the point where motive is the priority?
You know, that's something that can be helpful in trying to find somebody. So that's not something that is, certainly, obviously, as you alluded to, Chris, the priority is finding this person. They do not believe that there's a broader threat to the public. They believe that this individual, this was a targeted killing specific to Charlie Kirk. Obviously, given the fact that they would have had the opportunity to fire on other individuals there, and in fact, only fired the one round at Kirk, helps inform that opinion. But you want to find this person. On the other hand, if you can look at motive, and there's something about this person, their ideology, where they come from, why did they specifically go after Kirk? Perhaps that can help you in trying to find them. So I don't think it takes a complete backseat as you're trying to find this individual. Certainly, you're hoping throughout the course of this that they can take him into custody. Their belief is that if they can do that, then they can bring a case. Motive becomes critical at that point. Obviously, there'll be a state homicide charge, but depending upon the motive, that could also potentially bring federal charges into play. So that's something that they're clearly going to be focused on. We have not heard anything definitive on the motive. They are looking into whether or not there were any sort of writings on any sort of on the ammunition shell casings. If that is borne out to be true, that's a troubling trend, because it'll be the third time in the last 9 months that somebody has written messages on ammunition or on magazines. We saw it, of course, in the shooting of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, which is just about 4 blocks from where I am sitting right now. And the person that they've charged in that case, and Luigi Mangione, you saw it a couple of weeks ago with that horrible school shooting that took place during a Catholic mass at a school and church in Minneapolis. And then if that's the case here today, this is part of a trend, people trying to speak out. And by the way, the analysis of these individuals that's occurring by the FBI's behavioral analysis unit and other units, it's very clear that these individuals study what other shooters and what other people that are acting out in targeted violence study what they're doing. And so this is now, if in fact is the case, is a very troubling trend.
At this point of an investigation, how open are investigators, FBI, local law enforcement, to all possibilities of what, I think about this, and this is more conspiratorial, but it's very likely that it's just a domestic person who wanted to do this and, has an ideology, whether it's left or right, whatever it is. And there's also the possibility, because we know foreign governments do benefit from unrest that happens here sometimes. The possibility that he was put up to it by a foreign entity. Is that a thing that they look at, or are they just pretty much focusing on a domestic motive?
Great question. 100% something they're looking at. They were asked that question specifically while we were on the air on NBC Nightly News last night about the idea of any sort of foreign connection. They said no comment. That's not a yes. It's not a no. They're clearly looking at that. And yes, given what we've seen, just to kind of back up why this is a concern, we have seen foreign governments try to get involved in U.S. politics. We do know that governments like Iran have tried to carry out recently initiatives on U.S. soil. So certainly the idea by foreign governments is to sow discord in the United States, to get us to be fired up and riled up in a violent way at each other. So given the fact that, that's the type of incident that we have here, we have something that is highly political charged, a well-known activist and commentator on the conservative side of things. That's something that has to be looked at. Have we seen any evidence of that so far? No, but there's no evidence to discount that at the moment, just based on what we know publicly from officials.
Tom, you were talking about being on the Today Show, reporting with NBC, and one, I think, of the kind of the phenomenons of the modern social media age is that these very graphic videos of events like this, specifically of Charlie Kirk's assassination, it's circulating on social media. Now, news outlets use their discretion on what they're going to show on television. NBC, I'm sure, had to make decisions of how much they would show. How has social media and the way that these videos can just be shared to millions of people, how has that changed how a news outlet like NBC makes decisions on the video?
Yeah, I think you have your own standards as a reporter, and then those fall in line with our organizational standards. You look at the videos that were out there yesterday; they're highly graphic. They show the actual moment of the shooting and its immediate aftermath. A very difficult video to watch. I think there's a lot of concern in the law enforcement community about these videos because, for several reasons. There's a desensitized impact on the population, that people will watch these videos and kind of become desensitized to violence. And so, well, I did that. This person did that. I could do that. That's a concern. There's also the idea that some of the social media algorithms will see you watching that and say, oh, that's an area of interest. I can feed more of that to you. And of course, that has a tremendous impact. And then the impact that it has on kids and on young adults. So you look at this and law enforcement looks at it and says, this is information that is being piped directly into the phones of these kids. What impact does that have as far as being able to compute that violence? It's very difficult. And so it's a huge concern in the law enforcement community. It's a huge concern among people that cover it. Here you just look at the basic. If it was your family member, what would you want to do? And so it's not really relevant to the story to show you a horrible aftermath. What does that do to our understanding of it? It really doesn't do a whole heck of a lot. We know that there's been a fatality here. There's been an assassination. So you have to factor all of those things into play, just given how inflammatory the videos are and just the sensitivity of the audience. So it's a fine line, obviously, between not showing the actual incident and the gravity of it, because that has an impact, but also just doing the right thing by the family. So I can't recall an incident where we've shown the fatal shooting of an individual, at least in my recent memory. And I think they're evaluated on a case-by-case basis, but we're certainly sensitive to that.
Tom Winter, National Law Enforcement and Intelligence Correspondent for NBC News. Appreciate it. Really good stuff today, and we thank you for the reporting.
Thank you both.
Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji on 104.1 FM KMOX. Of course, this station will continue to follow all the developments. They do have a suspect. They don't know who it is, but they know what they are looking for. They have images of him. They may have evidence, it appears. That's according to authorities right now. And if anything breaks today, this is the place you're going to want to be. We will have that news for you, and that is all day. If it doesn't happen in the next hour or so, it will happen. And when it does, we will bring it to you on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Some things can steal your sunshine. Ugh, I just got my hair done.
Sorry, the cooler's broken. Anyone see my flip-flops? Anyone?
But COVID-19 can steal a lot more.
I just took a COVID test. Ugh.
Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com/COVID-19 to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This is Todd Krentz with Krentz Financial Group. For over 6 decades, we have helped St. Louis families and businesses plan with purpose and live with confidence. Selling your business is a major milestone. Before and after the sale, our role is to help cut through complexity and create a clear financial strategy focused on your legacy. We often coordinate with your attorney and CPA to ensure everything is aligned so your plan not only fits today, but continues working for you in the future. Your goals, our mission. Start today at kfgadvisors.com.
Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Servicing. Member FINRA/SIPC. Prince Financial Group is not a broker-dealer.
Fairwinds River's Edge is more than a place to live. It's a place to belong. Come see why we have been voted Best Independent Senior Living Community for 4 years in a row by U.S. News & World Report. We think you'll like it here, and the experts agree. Come see us for yourself. Call to schedule a tour with lunch or to RSVP for our senior prom on September 24th with live entertainment by the Backstreet Cruisers. Find us online at fairwindsriversedge.com.
The KMOX City SC Soccer Showcase presented by Michelob Ultra is back. Next stop, Hot Shot Sports Bar and Grill in Arnold, Thursday, September 18th. A limited number of fans can get an autographed picture from City SC player Timo Baumgartl. Win great prizes, enjoy great food and a cold drink.
Hi, this is Timo Baumgartl of St. Louis City. I'm looking forward to meeting you at the Hot Shots in Arnold, September 18th for the next soccer showcase. See you soon.
For more info, KMOX.com/events.
Actual price will depend on product and subscription plan. Featured products are compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. See website for details, restrictions, and important safety information.
Want a boost in and out of the bedroom? Hims has you covered. Introducing a new 2-in-1 approach to level up your game. Tadalafil for better bedroom performance and zinc for testosterone support. Put it all together and you've got what you need to turn things all the way up. Getting started is simple. Just go to hims.com/joy to start your free online visit. Through Hims, you can access ED treatments, including pills, chews, and more, 100% online. No office visits, no pharmacy lines. Just fill out a simple intake form and a licensed medical provider will determine if treatment's right for you. If prescribed, it ships free and discreetly to your door. Find affordable treatment options at up to 95% less than brand names at hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy, HIMS.com/JOY.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
It's the most inspiring night in sports. The Musial Awards at Stiefel Theater. You can be in the audience for this nationally televised event from St. Louis. Named for Stan the Man, the Musial Awards celebrate those who uplift us through their extraordinary sportsmanship. Experience the remarkable moments and people that make this an event like no other. The Musial Awards, presented by Maryville University. Saturday, November 22nd. Tickets at musialawards.com.
My house has a new glow. I love my windows. Universal Windows Direct.
Hey guys, Glover here. Right now, buy 2 windows and get 2 free from Universal Windows Direct. No interest for 3 whole years. Call 314-334-2522. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
I love my windows. They've got that brand new home effect. Universal Windows Direct.
Chris Ranji, Amy Marks Kors. The Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
You are always welcome to join the show by texting in at 314-436-7900. Voice messages on the Odyssey app, and it's super simple to do that. If you've got the Odyssey app, which is what you use on your phone to listen to the station live and Cardinals baseball live and all of that, podcasts as well when the show's over, all available for you. But you can record a message and send it. There's a button that says, record a message or leave a message. It's really easy to do that. And we love to get those from you. This text message from a 217, which I believe it's Springfield, Illinois. That's a 217 area code. It says, thank you, Ranj and Amy. We need our politicians to work together to make laws and regulations for our country. We need them to reduce crime and keep our citizens safe from murder and violence. When they start doing that job we elected them for and working across the aisle with each other is when our country will be saved. Otherwise, we are doomed to destroy it from within, which no outsider could do. Shaking my head as this bitter fight between politicians has to end, and democracy and debate on any matter is what this country was built on. Does not matter what religion you practice or what color your skin is. We are all American, and we will need to start acting like we are a country that is united. And that's kind of the message that we've had all day, is that at some point we have to get to a place where we stop saying, because of them, your situation is awful. Because of them, the country is destroyed. I don't even know. I don't care who does it. I don't care who starts it. I don't care where the cycle ends, but the cycle has to end. And I think collectively what it will take is for all of us to go, okay, enough's enough. I'm done blaming the other side for everything. It's not working for us, and we're headed down a really lousy path.
Yeah. It's like I said, I keep thinking of our country, and for a long time, because we are geographically isolated from a lot of our geopolitical adversaries, we're safe. We have our military. We're pretty safe. We are, as a country, historically and currently incredibly prosperous compared to so much of the suffering that's going on in the world. So we had the luxury for a long time of being pretty unserious. I think we propagated unseriousness. What I mean by that is foolishness, kind of resorting to base behaviors, making enemies of our neighbors. Maybe because we didn't have any enemies across the world that we thought about. I mean, seriously, when I'm looking at Afghanistan and looking at what the women are going through there, where they could be killed for laughing or if their voices heard, they have no freedoms, just absolutely oppressed. Or you think of the Uyghurs in China who are living in concentration camps. I mean, these are serious issues. And somehow we became an unserious country on social media and in politics, and then it became very serious, and then it became existential, where, like the texter said, from within.
Yeah,
the call's coming from within the house, and I hope that this tragic event slows us down and kind of knocks us back into a sense of perspective. That this was a country built on disagreement and debate, and we're going to disagree and debate each other. But political violence is absolutely not an answer. That only breaks down the cornerstones of democracy.
As I said a number of times, I don't know if I agreed with Charlie Kirk on much of anything. Not even his baseball team. Not a team. Charlie, a big Cubs fan. Charlie grew up in the suburbs in Chicago. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that politically I disliked much of what he had to say. He did not deserve to die yesterday over that. If that is in fact what this was about, is his politics, he did not deserve that. Nobody does. Nobody deserves to die over their opinions. And we cannot become that.
We can't desensitize ourselves to it, and we can't be flippant with it.
So hopefully they find this person and he's brought to justice. And well, he will be, unless he commits suicide or something, but he will be brought to justice. We appreciate you listening today on what was a day we didn't really want to do. Yeah, pretty heavy day here on KMOX. And in just a moment, we're going to take a break from that for an hour. We'll talk some sports. Bernie Miklasz and Chris Ranji on the Gas House Gang coming up. But anything you missed on this show is on the Odyssey app for you or wherever you get your podcast. And we'll be back tomorrow at 9 o'clock on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Hey, it's Matt Pauley for i3 Broadband, the internet provider in the Pauley household.